For comic book fans, 1989 was the year of the Batman, but it wasn't the only comic book movie released at that time. The first adaptation of The Punisher was also made, starring Dolph Lundgren as Frank Castle and Kim Miyori as the villain Lady Tanaka. With The Punisher returning this year in both Spider-Man Brand New Day and in his own Marvel special, we decided it was time to add some coverage on Frank Castle's different cinematic appearances. On January 23rd, we teamed up with CineFile Video once again, where I did a Q&A with actress Kim Miyori about her time on the film before CineFile screened the original extended workprint cut of the movie. After the interview, stick around as Alex will be coming on with me to discuss the 1989 film, why it's an underrated adaptation, and what makes the workprint cut different from the previous versions. This is Punisher Stuff You Should Know. Welcome, everyone, to the CineFile screening of The Punisher 89 Workprint Cut. I'm Ben Wan, and this is Superhero Stuff You Should Know, and we are a podcast specializing on nostalgic comic book movies, such as unmade scripts, deleted scenes, as of tonight as well, alternate cuts of comic book movies, and with me is a very special guest joining us to introduce the film. We shut the entire place down early just for her. Please welcome Lady Tanaka herself, Kim Miyori.
Hey!
So, thank you very much for coming.
Well, my pleasure to be here.
So, how did you come to be involved with this movie?
Well, you know, I'm an actress, so, you know, your agent calls you. We have an appointment for you. So you show up at the right time, the right place, hopefully, with your sides in hand, and you read, and you just hope you did a good job, right? Well, I guess I did a good enough job for them to hire me to do this. So, I mean, it wasn't like anything special, or it wasn't like I was involved in the development of it, or that I had any particular connection. It's just they saw something that I did that they liked. So
nice. Yeah.
Evil.
Which we could see, or are about to see. Who has not seen this movie at all? Okay, wow. All right, we have some first-timers. Who has not seen the specific cut we're about to watch? All right, so most of the people have not seen this version. So Lady Tanaka is an original character to this movie. She is not in the comics, and so I was kind of curious in terms of how did that feel? Does that give a certain freedom in terms of like, oh, there's not, like, I'm not beholden to this specific comic book character? Or did you kind of wish, like, oh, it'd be nice to crack open a Punisher comic and see who I'm doing?
No, I think it's great that it gave me a lot of latitude and a lot of freedom, because there was no, before. There was only the after. And so my choices, were just really my own. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any blueprint to have to follow or anything like that. So I'm sorry. I just have this terrible frog in my throat, so I apologize.
It's fine. We also were curious about preparation for the role in terms of, your Yakuza boss in this. Was there any discussion in terms of, that type of background or research into that?
Not a great deal. I had family who were not Yakuza, but...
Or so you tell us.
But perhaps related in some fashion. So just having been growing up Japanese, my dad was born here but raised in Japan. So, I mean, there was some sort of knowledge of the Yakuza. But it's interesting because what I did find was that there was only one woman that I'm aware of who made it to the higher echelons of the Yakuza.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
So it's a very male-oriented, obviously, organization. And it's very different than, let's say, the mafia. And that they tend to operate more openly. And they're more, accepted in the society. And there's some that have legitimate businesses, but they also do this other stuff.
Mhm.
So I think it was interesting that she was able to achieve that kind of position within the Yakuza, where she was obviously very high up in the echelon. So,
Right.
But they have like each like area has their own like division, right? So, but they, I guess, all report to a higher power.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, we were discussing too a little bit about Lady Tanaka's backstory and how she became the boss of the Yakuza. They do reference this in the movie in terms of how she had to sacrifice her brother in order to get there. But one of the things that I discovered too in reading the early drafts from Boaz Yakin, who's now known for the Now You See Me franchise, but he wrote this script, and in the original version, it was said that you killed your husband and 2 children in order to get there. So, and when we talked about that, you mentioned that was the first time that you had heard that was from me on that. So would that have changed a little bit of your thoughts on the character, considering?
I mean, the depth of her lack of whatever
of heart
would have been even deeper. Because that I mean, it's one thing killing your brother because there's sibling rivalry. Sometimes we want to kill our siblings, right? All the time.
The audience seems to agree.
But to kill your children.
Yeah.
That is so despicable, right? It's something that I personally can't comprehend, but to play a character who was able to do that would be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Yeah. We were discussing how in the final film, both this and the Workprint Cut, you do have an adoptive daughter who works for you, and so I was thinking about how if that backstory remained, we would think, at any moment, if that daughter messes anything up, she's gone.
Well, interesting thing. I'm not sure how this came about or who said it exactly, but there was always a question about that relationship between Lady Tanaka and her daughter. She's not an adopted daughter, right? That maybe she wasn't her daughter. I mean, the relationship wasn't mother-daughter at all. Get my drift?
See. That was taught behind the scenes or something that people told you in their interpretation of the movie?
I think they told me in terms of the interpretation, it was always a question. It was like never said, obviously, in the film.
Right.
But it was always something sort of that was, I don't know, I can't recall who said it or what the circumstance was, but that was always in the back of my mind too, in the filming, that the relationship was really not mother-daughter, but more like a love kind of thing.
Interesting, yeah. In terms of other characters, you can share with us in terms of, like, what was it like working with the rest of the cast? You have your adopted daughter, but you also have, a lot of your scenes are with Franco, with the actor whose name I have trouble pronouncing.
Yaron
Krabe. Yeah.
Yaron Krabe, wonderful man, wonderful actor, interesting, smart, I just can't say enough good things about him. Just a gentleman and just lovely. I was very lucky to have the chance to work with him.
And a James Bond villain too.
I'm sorry, I was clearing my throat.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, a James Bond villain too.
Yes,
I think it's interesting how you have this very grunt type hero in this, and then the very sophisticated type of character that Yaron's playing with Franco, that I know is kind of a very deliberate choice, and also like that's the type of character he's basically playing the same type of character he played in James Bond when he was in The Living Daylights. So I thought that was an interesting choice to carry that over, because in the comics, the Costa family who kills Frank's family is very much like stereotypical mafia type of stuff.
Right.
So it was cool to see that they did something a little different in this.
So this is interesting that you say that because of the way he played that character.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of my approach to Lady Tanaka, I was thinking more Alan Rickman in Die Hard.
Classic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like this evil, genius person. He was a genius. He was very smart, but he was very in control, right? And just that's sort of the vibe I wanted to get.
Yeah, for sure. And then you were also in, I mean, your main scene with Dolph is towards the end, but do you have any stories you share about Dolph and working on this movie with him?
Now, did you say, I don't know, I can't remember who said something interesting about that scene where I'm torturing him on the rack.
Oh, yeah. I have that as well in terms of the Batman part.
Oh, the Batman part, yes.
But we can get to that in a bit. But
that I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I can't answer that.
What I'm referencing is that there's a Batman reference, and we cross streams from Marvel into DC in this movie. But
yeah, because there is like a, whatever, a connection between Batman and the Punisher in the comic, right?
Well, in terms of like they're different publishing companies, but sometimes people like to have their fun. Well, people like to have fun too in terms of like, oh, Marvel characters reference DC characters reference Marvel characters, but there is a comic where Batman meets the Punisher,
right? Exactly.
And stuff. So that is
so that was one of those Easter egg things, I guess you call them, right?
Right.
Where people who know that would catch that and go, oh yeah.
But you wanted to talk about the scene with
the
torturing
scene.
them on
I
the
don't
mat.
know. They said that that me, the actress, was like, I improvised that thing where okay, so her pinky finger with that metal thing on it, in Yakuza culture, you show when you rise to a certain level, right? You show your loyalty. It's all about loyalty to the Yakuza. Right. You cut the end of your pinky finger off, right? As your sacrifice or whatever, your commitment. So that's why she wears that metal thing with the jewels on it. And then to hide her pinky-less finger. So, she takes that and rubs that up and down his chest. I can't remember if it was my choice or if it was the director's. I frankly don't remember.
I don't remember that in the script. So
but maybe. It wasn't painful.
And then I know you said you had stories about the knife.
Oh, the knife. So, at the end, I don't know, should I give this away? Because,
I mean, it's the Punisher. I think people kind of know how things are going to go for the villains. You can plug your ears if you don't want to spoil it, but I think it's pretty obvious what happens.
Punisher gets a knife right in the middle of her forehead, right? So, I mean, there was a whole thing where they had to do a cast of my upper body, my head and stuff. So it's like when you cast a leg or something when it's broken, that's what they do to your whole head. And then you breathe through straws, and then they make this silicone kind of mock-up of you. And so you know how they cut. So they cut before the knife goes in, right? And then they catch me like turning my head back, and the knife is here, glued to my head. So they had to glue the handle of the knife with a little disc here to my forehead. I had to wear that the entire day.
Oh, wow.
This thing sticking out of my head. And then when they took it off, I grew this huge zit in the middle of my forehead. And so you see some scenes actually where you see they covered up this whole zit there. But that's what it was from. It was from the knife.
Well, tonight's Workprint is in VHS quality, so you will be spared from seeing that. But we can look at that for the previous cuts if you guys have the HD version of that. One of the other things that you and I talked about right before we started was the controversy over the skull. There is no skull on the Punisher. Sorry, guys, who don't know that. But there's no skull on the Punisher shirt. It is on the knives, though, one of the knives that did go into your forehead.
Right.
But I know that you gave me your reaction in terms of this being a major controversy about this movie.
Okay, so I'm not into that whole world of comics and stuff personally, okay? So it's like, what's the big deal? But apparently it is. It is a very big deal to fans of the Punisher that they didn't use that logo, that skull, you know. So, but what can I say? Not...
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting because people tout that, but I'm kind of like, well, there's so much more to Frank Castle than just the skull that's on the shirt. And if you look at the other adaptations, he's not wearing the skull in every single scene in any of the other adaptations either. And then if you look at the John Bernthal series, he spends most of the series not wearing the skull. So I'm like, okay, I understand that not once did you see the skull on Dolph, and it would have helped that, but it's not like everyone else is constantly wearing it either, especially this latest version. So,
but I mean, you know, Dolph's presence and his physicality, and just that, you know, that shot when the house is blown up, and then he's in the doorway, right? And in silhouette, kind of. I mean, he's just such an imposing figure, physically, that and the way the costuming. We had a brilliant costumer, Norma Morso. She was just wonderful. I have a thing about the costumes too.
Oh, nice.
You know, I think you get that right without having the skull there. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just his presence.
Yeah, no, that there is the trauma that he's been through. There is his kind of code or lack of code at times. There's this sort of this dead inside type of approach to the character that is in the comics that also is like this war is the only thing he has that keeps him not even really living but existing and all that. And I think all of that is conveyed in this movie. And you said you wanted to talk about the costume?
Norma Morso was a brilliant costume designer. She did Mad Max movies. Nice. And when I went for my fitting, you know, all those costumes were made for me. But because it was a different genre than I had worked in before, you know, coming from a comic book, I wanted to have the characters' look be exaggerated. And she already, you know, had the kind of padded shoulders and the peplum, you know, so that the top would kind of go out at the waist, that kind of look with a straight skirt. But I said, I want to exaggerate that. I want you to make me a corset. You know, like they used to wear way back, right? Like Scarlett O'Hara. And like pull in your waist like that. That's why my waist has never been smaller than it was in this movie. But after about an hour wearing that thing, I went, what was I thinking? Because I had to wear that thing all day. My God, it was so uncomfortable. But I looked good.
Between the corset and the knife glued to your forehead, which one would you pick if you had to go through it again?
The knife, I think, definitely.
That gives the guys the idea, you know, the audience. Any other behind-the-scenes stories you want to share before we jump to any audience questions?
No, I just I was surprised, really, because I just was so naive about this whole genre of, you know, film and whatever, and it was kind of early on in that too, right? Yeah. As to the cult following that it would develop in later years, you know, because it wasn't released theatrically here in the United States. Just went right for whatever reasons they were having at New World, but it finally clicked to me one day. I was walking. You know, there was like a parking lot behind like some stores and a restaurant, and I was walking down the alley toward the parking lot, and a parking attendant went, "Lady Tanaka." I was kind of like, oh, I guess someone did see this movie.
You can terrify him by taking a glass and start rubbing the rim.
Right, no. But it was the first time I guess I had an awareness of the kind of following that it would develop. And I was just pleased that to have been part of that. So it was good.
Now, you did mention that you're not a big comic book person, but since you were part of this in the first movie, I was curious if you, out of your own curiosity, kept up with like other versions of it just to check it out, or have you just kind of been like, well, that was kind of it for me?
Well, I did see, which was it, the Ray Stevens version?
Ray Stevenson,
right.
Yeah.
And but it. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I have to be honest. I know
You probably won't say anything different from what people have said online.
I know. I did not seek out to see the other versions of it. I'm sorry. I'm not.
No, I was just curious. No, you're already part of the Punisher family in some ways, so it's like it's not really required, I think, for you to check out the others. But I was kind of curious myself on that because some people grow to become fans, or some people have always been fans, have been part of it. So it's interesting sometimes to see people who have gone in and out of that genre. Around this time with Punisher, Michael Keaton becomes Batman.
Right.
But then when they bring him back for The Flash and they try to explain to him all this comic book stuff, he's kind of just like, look, just give me the script. like I'm not following this, is what he admitted in interviews. So it's kind of funny how we kind of assume, oh, like, you're part of this world, you must like know all these different things. I'm like, well, not necessarily. And that's okay. That's kind of part of the
the closest I've ever come
movies
to being part of that world is I worked decades ago with Larry Hama, who's with, who I don't know, developed into Snake Eyes, I guess, and amongst other things, G.I. Joe. So, when I had auditioned for the Snake Eyes movie, and I called him up, I said, "So, what about this character?" And he was great. He sent me like I don't know, some material or something. But, yeah.
Nice.
But that's about as close sorry. When I was a kid, I used to do Archie and Veronica and all that. You guys probably don't even know what that is.
Well, Riverdale was a few years ago, so they might know that version. Any questions from the audience for Kim?
I don't know if it's beating a dead horse. We touched up on it, but what was the reason behind the decision not to use the skull? Was there something, I don't know, like censorship or something, or just the director didn't want to go with it?
Do you know the story?
I have not a clue. I'm sorry. I really was never part of that kind of discussion. So I don't know whose decision it was in the end.
So here's what I've heard on this. In the original script from Boaz Yakin, the moment he steps out after he blows up Moretti, he's got the skull on throughout the whole movie. Then when Robert Mark Kamen does a rewrite of it and becomes the script that's closer to what we're about to see, that skull is saved for the third act. And you see that in the comic adaptation that I have here, where you don't see the skull until the finale. And it seems like there's just this gradual move to just keep erasing it further and further. And then in the final film, it's only on the knife, or the knives that he uses. And from what I've heard, there's been some rumors about like a copyright issue, but that kind of, I don't think that's been confirmed. It basically just sounds like it was the director's decision, and the director regretted it later probably because of the controversy that ended up happening, and realizing how it was important for the fans who were the main audience for this movie. So I think that's what I've personally heard. I would have to verify that. I know that there is a book that is written in French that you're interviewed in, that is being translated in English, that will probably give more details on that for sure. There's probably going to be some chapter even on that, but that's what I know to my knowledge on the skull. All right. Any other questions? Yes.
I know this is like a Roger Corman production.
Was it? I don't think it was.
No.
I think you might be thinking Fantastic Four. Yeah.
I have a question. So I just found out about the screening like a few hours ago because
awesome.
One of my friends who's from Nova Scotia, Canada, all the way up in Canada, was like, "You got to go to the screening. That you were going to be here for it," and he said that you were like one of the greatest villains ever in a movie. And so I was curious as to like, what were there any other like inspirations you drew from when you were coming up with this performance? I guess, yeah. Were there anything else that
You did mention Alan Rickman.
Well, Alan Rickman in Die Hard was my main kind of model. That what I loved about his villain was that he was just, not the twirling the mustache and twirling and like, that kind. He was just, he's a normal evil guy. And I think someone who is in control doesn't have to show, that they're tough or they're whatever. It's like they know it. They know they have control. So I knew what I didn't want to do in the role was to, be whatever dragon lady thing or whatever thing that people might expect her to be, right? I want to play against that.
That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, Alan Rickman never loses his temper or loses control. He's always said
Completely. Yeah, I was so impressed with his performance in that. Really stuck with me. So it's what I.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of on that note, real quick, I did want to share that in terms of praise for Lady Tanaka, I randomly just typed in Lady Tanaka Punisher into to Twitter the other night, and I thought you'd get a kick out of some people saying, "A Lady Tanaka should be Marvel canon," as in you should be a Marvel character in the comics, and the other one being Lady Tanaka. There's the upcoming in December. It's going to be Avengers Doomsday, the next Avengers, and this person, Simon Phoenix, says Lady Tanaka from the only good Punisher movie will return in Avengers Doomsday. So people are fans out there of this character and wanting to see more of your character in the Punisher comics.
It was just a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun for me to do as an actor, yeah.
You had a question?
Yes. First of all, congratulations, because you've had such a long and really varied career yourself in film and television.
Well, thank you.
Saying Elsewhere, Babylon 5, so much television, really interesting genre work. And I wonder, roles like Lady Tanaka are still very rare to see an Asian female character this powerful and this important in a story. And I wonder if you can talk about, given your experience and your career, what it means to you to have played a role like this.
It actually means a lot to me. There was a point early on in my career where I became very despondent for about 10 minutes. No, because I realized that I would never play certain roles. That I would be limited. And playing Lady Macbeth, depending on how they were, casting or whatever, that these roles would typically not go to someone like me. So I think overall in my career, I have been extremely fortunate. And I say I've done a variety of things, and things that are really all very important to me because I think they were significant in the business and significant for me just culturally. I consider myself very, very fortunate.
Awesome. I think we have time for one more question from the audience. Yes.
I was gonna ask that in the earlier Punisher comics, he's not as much of an extremist as the later comics, and he actually has sort of a weak spot for women villains like Rosaline Carbone from the Warzone series. In the Punisher movie, it seems that most of the male, mafia goons are sort of the week. They're not really smart. They're like, what do we do about the Punisher? And it was like a deliberate decision to make Lady Tanaka and her daughter sort of the main villains. The Punisher is like more like a series that sort of like tries to turn around a lot of the usual tropes of action movies and things like that. Was that a deliberate decision in terms of his characterization in the comics as having sort of this weakness for women or looking them, like as weaker or something like that, and then how they translated that to the movie to make the women characters more deadlier?
I mean, that might be a question for Boaz Yakin, who wrote the script.
Yeah, the writer.
Do you recall any discussion on that?
I'll just say just technically one thing. Why some of those mafia guys may have seen... Okay, some of them, it's a little like over the top to me because they were all Australian actors trying to play New York Italian mafia.
Right. Because this is shot in Australia,
and
right?
so I think they got it in their head, some sort of like stereotypical representation of what
30s.
what they sounded like and the behavior and stuff like that, because it was just out of their realm of sort of understanding, I think. So I think that actually did contribute to the way they came off. Yeah. But that's just my opinion.
I could see that because it's like, okay, you're not the main heavies. And so them going that extreme with it it basically accentuates more of you in that, because you are more of the Alan Rickman who isn't losing your cool all the time and in fact is in control throughout each scene that you're in. So I think that it ends up like helping the dynamic that's there.
Sure, and I'm not sure if it was the direction that made some of their choices as actors kind of over the top a little bit, but as you say, it worked for Lady Tanaka's character, in contrast. So
awesome. Well, fantastic. Let's give it a hand for Kim Miyori. So, a few announcements real quick is that from Superhero Stuff You Should Know, our show, and Believeland, we do have pizza for you guys as advertised. That is in the back. You can go ahead and grab a slice when we go for a break. You can also come up and greet us. I personally would love for you to sign a couple things. If you happen to have any memorabilia you want to bring up to have her sign, sounds like she would be open to that.
It'll cost you.
Yeah. we'll put a price tag on
just
that.
Kidding.
And then I have my own comics up here. One is Alter Ego, which is an ongoing independent comic series, which is about 5 families of supervillains who take over a city, and the main character goes undercover as a henchman to take them one by one, kind of like Frank Castle if he's going undercover. And then the other is Musashi and Son, based on the real-life samurai Miyamoto Musashi, who takes a boy under his wing and trains him to be a warrior. So Volume 1 is available. Volume 2 is going to be released next month. I am close to finishing that. So that is on its way. So you can come up and buy comics if you want, or just take a look at them. I have the QR code as well for our show, Superhero Stuff You Should Know. You can scan that. That'll direct you to our YouTube page. You can see our other events of CineFile, such as the Roger Corman Fantastic Four event that we had. The last one was the Captain America Albert Pune cut. And then we'll probably be coming back. And so I do have a question for those in the audience, if there's any interest in the fact that 2026 will be the 30th anniversary for the 1996 movie The Phantom, starring Billy Zane. Would there be interest in us bringing a guest and screening that? So please raise your hand if you would be interested in that. Awesome. And then we have this Punisher movie, but there was also a Punisher movie in 2004 with Tom Jane. There is an extended edition of that. I personally own it. We might use my copy to screen that. It has an added subplot in there. We would love to bring in a guest there, so raise your hand if you have interest in that one too. All right, there we go. I think we're going to be coming back. So thanks, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, if you want to hear more of us outside of Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you're in luck. Both Alex and I have shows and other work that we produce outside of this podcast. Alex, let's hear about your other podcasts.
All right, so obviously I know you guys are a fan of superheroes, so I'll start off with I have Flashbacks, a Flash rewatch podcast where we cover every episode of the CW Flash show. Also, if you're a fan, I know you can see in the corner the Batman thing. We have Night of the Batman, where me and my wife and occasionally other guests cover everything Batman related. Ben was actually on the show, and we interviewed John Jackson Miller, and also we covered his book, Batman Resurrection. So definitely go check that out. And also, if you're more into like kind of a vague kind of movie-ish show, kind of like a vague like What Mean kind of vibe, then I have What Mean podcast, which is also great. That's just vague like movies, TV, music, just whatever I kind of feel like covering. That has made a comeback recently, so look forward to that. And if you're into just TV in general, and especially nostalgic TV, I would recommend Review More Girls. My wife and her cousin cover it, and that show heavily deals with family, the Gilmore Girls show, and they talk about their own personal, their personal family life, and also just how they relate to each other, kind of like the two main characters of that show. So definitely go check that out.
Awesome. Yes, I've been a guest on both Flashbacks and Night of the Batman. I've not watched enough Gilmore Girls to be part of Review More Girls, so I don't know if I'll be making an appearance on that one, but on Flashbacks and Night of the Batman, I've been there, and it's been fun, so definitely check those out. As for me, outside of this show, I'm both a voice actor and a writer. On the voice acting side, I'm currently voicing 3 different versions of Batman on YouTube. Yes, I'm the voice of Batman in the Arkham tapes. That's an analog horror series produced by one of our collaborators, The Bat Feed, in which I play a Bruce Wayne who's injected himself with the powers of the different Rogues Gallery members, becoming this monstrous version of Batman that you see there. And I am also the voice of 2 other versions on Newverse Creative. That's one of our favorite channels. That's NEUVERSE. This is a channel that produces audio dramas and motion comics, where I've contributed my writing to episodes devoted to expanding the worlds of the different versions of Batman, not only adapting the movies, but also adapting unmade scripts, junior tie-in novels, or existing comics and just setting them into the movie continuity. So basically, it's the dramatized version of a lot of stuff that we cover on the show. I'm also the voice of both the Michael Keaton Batman and the Val Kilmer Batman in that. How did that happen? I have no idea, but somehow I landed it in there. Nobody's called me out as a fraud yet. So I adapted the original scripts for Batman Forever when they were produced in 2 audio dramas, one produced in the style of the Burtonverse with me as the Michael Keaton Batman, like you see here, titled Tim Burton's Batman 3, and the other in the style of the Schumacher film, of course, called Batman Forever, the Schumacher Cut audio drama with me as the Val Kilmer Batman. So if you're a fan of our Batman coverage, you won't want to miss these. And if you'd like to check out my original stuff, I also self-published my own indie comics. So check out my indie comic series, Alter Ego. This is a mix of Batman No Man's Land with X-Men and The Departed. 5 families of supervillains have taken over the city, and our main character goes undercover as a henchman to eliminate them one by one. And this is now available on Amazon. I say now available. It's always been available on Amazon. That's really the only place you can get it, other than just off of me. So the 3 issues are available on Amazon. There'll be more. You can also get the variant cover of issue 1 done by Alex himself that we see in the middle right here. So this is cool. And that is my first indie series, and the other one is my manga, Musashi and Son. This is based on the real-life samurai Miyamoto Musashi, who wrote the Book of 5 Rings. If you've studied martial arts or any sort of Asian martial history, Miyamoto Musashi comes up a lot in the Book of 5 Rings. And this is the story of how he adopted a son. Think Samurai Batman and Robin in this. They go from village to village hunting down the bandits that murdered the boy's father. Also available on Amazon, and the link to my Amazon author page is in the description that has all of these available in their different forms, both on Kindle and in print. You can also get merch for both my comics at my TeePublic, which has a link in the description. You occasionally see me wearing either an Alter Ego shirt or Musashi shirt in here, or a Superhero Stuff You Should Know shirt. If you want Superhero Stuff You Should Know merch, that's in here. On top of that, I have an animated movie coming out, directed by a friend of the podcast, Aaron Quinn. It is a faithful adaptation of the James O'Barr graphic novel, The Crow, that I co-wrote with Aaron, who will also be animating, and I will be the voice of the Crow. So that's our plugs. Check those out when you can. And we're back. This has been, what do you call 125 episodes in 5 years of Superhero Stuff You Should Know? Work in progress. And with me
it really
is
been 125? That's crazy.
probably not. I'm just going off the number of the movie, but maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it has
It's
been.
just like, that's awesome.
maybe. I'd have to count, but probably not. But anyway, with me is Punisher's drunken sidekick and actor. So.
Yeah, I'm a thespian. You're what? Like he says in that movie. It's
Hell's a
just like,
thespian.
it's like an actor. He's like, oh, all right, yeah.
Alfie's like, what the hell's
Oh,
a
man.
thespian?
What is a thespian?
Yeah, there's some other stuff that you could not get away with saying in today's modern movies that we see in this movie. Like some of these lines, I was like, whoa, this definitely is an 80s movie.
Well, again, a lot of these are also bad guys. So it is the Punisher.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the Tarantino thing with like some of the stuff they say. It's
Mhm.
like, well, they're not necessarily
Yeah.
they're not role models or anything.
Yeah. So this is your favorite Punisher movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go into it because I
It
know this is
is.
the one that this is one of the ones that you really wanted to get to, and we're here. So let's get into it.
Yeah. It honestly, like, it feels like, and I haven't read a lot of Punisher, but it definitely feels like it like lives up to those comics, basically. Like it has that gritty, kind of grimy feel to it. It's crazy that it came out the same year as Batman. Like, honestly, like that's pretty crazy. But yeah, like I really enjoy this movie. I think like just some of the art direction and just like how it's laid out, the synth score, it's very 80s, but I think that's kind of like a strength of it. Like, and I know that I think, like, hold on, let me look. Like the editor of Terminator and like the editor of both the Terminator movies, Mark Goldblatt.
Oh yeah, he was
direct.
Yeah,
he directed this, and so like it's one of those things where it's kind of the same thing with I don't know if you've ever seen Return to Oz before, but
a long time ago.
have you ever seen that?
A long time ago.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where a good editor makes like a good director. A lot of the times, because they know what to like cut out and what to like. They usually make really tight movies, and like this is the case with this. Like I know, like we obviously saw the work print, and there's like it's almost like seeing a whole new shade to it. But I don't know. I kind of like. I'm conflicted. I'm gonna pull a you for a second here, Ben, and say that like there's some version of this where it's the work print and the other one, but I'm gonna be honest, I still it's kind of like if we ever get the full Batman Forever thing, I still probably am gonna prefer the original, even after, even with the added knowledge of this work print and everything. If we ever do get Batman Forever, it's gonna be kind of the same, where I'm like, I kind of like the edited version, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about it?
I like both versions, but I agree with you. This one's another like let's do a hybrid cut type of thing, mainly with the prologue, which we'll get to after the break. But yeah, my introduction to the Punisher was not this movie, but the Tom Jane one in 2004, which we plan to cover later this year because there's an extended cut of that one too. And in my heart, that one is still probably my favorite, but admittedly, my love for that is as a revenge movie. Yes. Yeah, that one. With such a great logo. With us. So, like that movie, Tom Jane's version ends with him becoming and declaring himself like, "Call me the Punisher," and then that's the end. And I admit, if with that one, there are times where when you compare it to the comics, it feels a lot more PG-13 than what it feels like it should be. So, of the Punisher adaptations, and having done like a deep dive recently into rewatching pretty much everything, this one feels the most right to me in terms of tone, right? Like there's some level of cheesiness to the Tom Jane one. I mean, sure, there's maybe some level of it here too, but there's a difference to it where I think the 80s setting, and obviously that was more modern at the time, that was contemporary at the time, but like it doesn't feel like there's the cheesiness to it that we would get in the other ones or the other versions with the 2004 one or in Warzone. And it manages to do a story that stands on its own without fully relying on it being an origin film. Obviously, the origin stuff in the work print we'll talk about, and it's in the movie in both versions because there's a little flashback in the unrated and theatrical versions, but fully the Punisher for most of this movie. And it's also one where what I really appreciate about this, especially having rewatched the other adaptations, is this feels like the only one that shows, instead of doing what the other versions do, where they show like, oh, this is the humanity behind this hardened vigilante. This is his softer side.
Mm-hmm.
This is who he was before he had a family, or this is, maybe he can still tap into that again, or maybe he can fall in love, or that type of stuff. This one's like, no, this shows how far gone he is.
Yeah.
He's gone. When he said
The
Frank
fucking-
Castle is dead, he's dead.
The movie, the theatrical version literally opens up with him like praying to God and everything.
Why?
And him like naked, like in a sewer, like meditating. Like, dude is not, like, has like dead eyes and everything. The dude is not okay.
Yeah, this is the most unhinged version, especially when we get to the ending in terms of the lines he's willing to cross that most people wouldn't cross. And I think that's the merit of this version of Frank Castle that people don't give enough credit for, because we'll get into this a bit, but he doesn't wear the skull on the shirt. So a lot of people discount him for that, even though there's so much more that they get right, I think, about the character in this. Besides that I think are on a deeper level than the superficial.
One of the superheroes, I feel like, and I know it's gonna get hate from the Punisher fans, but I feel like this is one of the only heroes you can kind of get away with him, other than like Wolverine, him like not wearing the costume basically, and it being like, all right, like you buying it basically. Because I was thinking about that today. I was like, there's literally like, you couldn't do that with Batman. You couldn't just have him like, going around with the logo-less like suit, or even that, or have like that'd be like having like Batman, but he just wears the cape and like, the ears and just no symbol at all. It'd be kind of weird. Like, it's just like, I don't know. Or like Spider-Man, where he didn't have the webbing or anything. It was just a red. Well, that's kind of what they did with Daredevil, where it was just like a black suit in that Hulk movie. Like, but that kind of ended up working later on.
True.
Like, I don't know.
I get what you mean, though. I was thinking that too, where Frank Castle doesn't have a secret identity. There's not really a costume. It's a shirt and it's a symbol. And sure, would it have been awesome to have it in the movie? For sure. We even have that from a YouTuber named Ali Void. Did this image that I'm pulling up, where they added the skull into the finale, which looks really good. But do I need it necessarily? Especially considering, like I pointed out in the interview, I was like, we've seen so many, all the other movie versions. He's not in the skull all the time. It's not the same thing where Bruce Wayne has to
in the Netflix one.
Yes,
the Netflix shit, he barely wears it, man.
Exactly. That's what I brought up. But I was like, he spends most of the seasons trying not to wear it. So
that one's also a lunatic, by the way. He's kind of likable, but the Netflix one is also kind of like when he just like screams and starts running at people. I'm like, nah, I mean, like, this one is chilling, as in like I would compare this Punisher to kind of like a slasher, basically. But like the one from the Netflix one, if that dude was running and just going like, oh, like that, like just like screaming at you before he attacked you, I'm like, nah, dude, I'd probably shit my pants or something if like that dude was running at me like John Barenthal.
Yeah, the Bernthal take to me has always kind of felt a little bit more on the Wolverine-ish side, in terms of like, he's got that berserker rage, he's got that like, deep down you can kind of
he
tell
could have made it great. He made a great Wolverine. I feel like.
Well, his face is not quite as wolf-like, as Jackman, but at the same time, like I feel like the attitude of Wolverine is what they've injected more into that version of Frank, whereas I'm kind of more used to the comics. I feel he's more of the dead inside take that we see with.
He's supposed to look
Dolph.
like a YouTuber I used to watch a lot. Kind of made the point. It made me laugh. She was kind of saying like, well, in the 80s, some people were even saying like Bob Hoskins or something should have been Wolverine. Because if you look at some of those pictures, it's like, he's not a good looking guy. Like, sometimes they draw him as like a good looking guy, but other times he's not really that good looking. He kind of is rough looking when you look at him. And it depends on the artist, I guess.
Yeah.
That would have been a very different movie. I don't know if you'd have a franchise with Bob Hoskins as Wolverine.
Not necessarily based around Wolverine, I would say. Like, it probably at that point it'd be based around one of the other X-Men characters, because there's plenty. But I've always gravitated more towards I think in general, both with Punisher and Batman, I'm a little bit more gravitated towards the more silent, stoic type than the angry, growling versions of them. But I think again with the Skull, we were going to go into this a little bit, but we might as well just go into it now. Where like again, it would have been awesome, but I also think there's just so much more to Frank than that it almost starts feeling like the fans complaining about it are reducing the character, if you know what I mean. Where it's just like, really, is that the only thing that kept it? Because there's so much that they get right here in terms of how sociopathic he is, how much he's a dead man inside with the only mission to live for. Whereas other versions we've seen with the Skull try to make him more human and try to make him softer in comparison, that I'm like, well, between the two, I mean, ideally you have both, but between the two, I'm always more for like, okay, let's get the characters right.
I mean, even in the what's it called? It was that kids show that was on a few years ago with like the little mini version, little mini versions of the Avengers where they have Punisher in one episode. Everybody's just looking at him like, yeah, like what the fuck? Like he's just back there. He's like, they're the white blood cells and we have to kill them and everything. And they're all looking like they're all on the bus. I think it's like what's it called? Like just all of them just kind of looking at him like terrified a little bit. Like who is this guy?
Yeah,
I'm like, I like even in that version they kind of like make him like kind of a lunatic too. Like that's kind of great.
As he should be. So you had confirmation from the director's commentary about the skull and the removal of the skull. So go ahead into that.
Yeah. He so he got a few things wrong actually in his commentary. First off, like he was talking about, well, you know, the first appearance of the Punisher was in Daredevil and everything. I'm like, first up, no, it wasn't. Like, yeah, it's just like okay, and then I was like, all right, whatever, we're gonna let that one slide. And then like he's like, oh yeah, and then people were like, because at the time, I don't know, because it was the '80s, they didn't have just the T-shirt with the skull. Yeah, he was talking about like spandex. He was like, well, in the comics, they have the spandex with like the little bullet cartridges making the skull. And he's like, I don't think that would have worked in this movie. And he's like, so we went like kind of like a half measure. We didn't think it would be this big of a deal, but we put the skulls on the knives. And after so many fan complaints, which kind of surprised us, like people asked me if I could go back, would I change it? It's like, yes, I would change it if I could go back. But that was like my call to be like, we don't need the skull on the shirt. Because I think like he was like, you always hear this in Hollywood. We don't want it to look like a superhero movie and everything. And I'm just like, it's a different time. But like, you still hear that shit like up until recently, like even in the early 2000s, like we don't want it to look like a superhero thing. It's like, then why the fuck are you making it? Like I do love this, I do love this movie visually, like with some of the lighting and then some of the, just how it's shot. Is like really good, and also just the atmosphere of it is great. But like I don't know, like I hear stuff like that and I'm like, then why are you making this movie, man? Like if you're not gonna if you're not gonna embrace the superhero element. But yeah, that's what I heard to confirm what you had said kind of about it, like confirm the rumor that he didn't go with the skull for that reason.
Yeah, the common look for Punisher, I'll hold up the little figurine I've got, but the common look for Punisher at that time is the spandex one.
That's nice.
About. Yeah, like this is a metal die-cast one. He's got the white gloves. That's what we got to see in these movies now, the white gloves. But yeah, with the cartridges, we're kind of used to now a little bit more of the modernized one where it's the shirt and the long trench coat and stuff. And I'm sure that had debuted at that point by the time of the movie, but I'm sure like that was probably the original vision from Boaz Yakin, who wrote the script. And I was just recently watching an interview with him that our supporter Logan Wood, who's a big fan of this movie, he sent me this interview with Boaz Yakin where he pretty much says like he wanted, like his first draft was a lot more comic booky, as I can attest because I've read it and we'll actually be covering that next. But he did say that part of the disheartening part of the process, the development process, was seeing it gradually become less and less comic booky due to studio notes. Because like remember, this comes out right in 1989. Batman hasn't come out yet with Tim Burton. The only thing that seems to have worked, quote unquote, is Christopher Reeve's Superman, and even then you could argue like you're at the death knell of that franchise. By the time we get to 1989, we've already gotten Richard Pryor and the Quest for Peace type stuff, so that's not necessarily doing great either. So I can kind of see at that time it's like, oh, like we don't need to do this, but at the same time too, I think people discount how comic booky this feels. Like this doesn't just feel like this belongs in the same world of like Die Hard or something. It has ninjas. We got ninjas in this movie.
Yeah.
we got Punisher.
Yeah, the Yakuza. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and the specific like romanticized version of the Yakuza, and then we've got his little Punisher cave in the sewers. We've got, even though he doesn't have the skull, he's got the skulls that are on the knives and the knife and then from the boot.
Which is almost sillier for me. I don't know. Like, I don't know about you, but like, he's got him on the knives. I'm like, I looked at that. I'm like, that's almost sillier than just having it on your shirt, man. I don't know.
I liked it as a calling card. I like it as a calling card a lot, actually, in this one, where like they know it was him, and that's how he leaves his mark. Because arguably, that's going to be a lasting impression more so than people seeing him. But at the same time, again, I'm not anti-Skull. It's just more of like, I can easily watch this movie and not be bothered by it. I get that's not the case at that time, and I get that obviously this is one where I saw it after having previously seen the version where he did wear the skull in it, so it's probably not as, when you have this as the only Punisher movie, I can see comic book fans being like, if only he had the skull. But since we have so many at this point, it just doesn't bother me now. So it's like something I don't count against. Good.
It's like people with the fucking Batman wide eye things where like they want that so bad. I'm like, just make a good movie. Like that shit does not matter to me like at all. I'm like, that's in the comics. I feel like that's, I don't know. Part of me feels like, I know Deadpool has it, but like I feel like that's like artistic liberty basically of them doing that. I don't think like if Batman was like a real thing that he would have like the wide out eyes. I think that's just something that they do with artistic license basically. Like I don't know.
It's something that I think has that in the blue and gray suit that just feels like stuff that we're like, hey, well, we might as well at this point is sort of what I see. Like, this hasn't been shown before, so let's have that. Let's have the blue and gray suit. Let's have the white lenses. But we haven't really had. I don't know of anybody who's complained like, well, this isn't Batman because he doesn't have the white lenses, which is what it kind of feels like sometimes with this, or it's like this isn't Frank Castle because he doesn't have the skull. It's like, well, there's a lot. I mean, what
does he act like Frank Castle? There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So again, there's just so much more to this character, I feel, than the skull he wears, that I think this movie gets right. And the world of this movie, even though there aren't really comic book characters, what I love about this is like, well, maybe some of these characters should be in the comics, like Louis Gossett Jr.'s character, Berkowitz.
Yeah,
he is the start of many versions. Like in every adaptation, you'll notice they give Frank a black best friend. In every single version, he gets a black best friend, and in at least 3 of the 4 live action ones, that best friend was his buddy before his family was killed. So,
oh shit, you're right.
You got Curtis.
I didn't even really
the Netflix one, yeah, and they're all versions of Berkowitz. Like, if you think about it, they're all just versions of that. So I was like, well, you guys criticize this movie.
You're saying this is the blueprint, is what I'm hearing.
It's like what we talked about with the Pune Cut with Captain America, where like, well, everyone shits on this movie, but also you certainly liked taking some of the ideas from it, didn't you? So
yeah, seriously.
So that's one where I'm like, hey, like it just makes sense to have that type of character as a connection to his past, because that just highlights how far gone Frank is. If you don't have a character who was connected to his past, then it's harder to show that. Then he's just kind of like that helps highlight the dimensions in it. So I do appreciate Berkowitz's character. Lady Tanaka, as we talked about in the thing, is such a cool like villain Yakuza character.
She was great.
Yeah, and I don't mind the changes either that they made to the mobsters who kill Frank's family. If I had one criticism, it has less to do with the characters and more to do with the fact that, you know, in the comics, we'll go into this a little bit more in the Patreon, but in the comics, it was ones where
He's at a park, right?
Yeah, they deliberately killed the family because they were witnesses, whereas in this one, it kind of feels like they mainly were trying to target Frank, and it was his family that was collateral. So it was kind of more of an accident. They didn't mean to kill his family, which kind of removes a little bit of the sting for me. Of course, the Tom Jane version decided to overcompensate and just had them be like, let's kill everybody at a family reunion.
That was ridiculous. I was like, wow, I like that movie. I don't know. It would be fun to see like Travolta again, like as the villain. Like, I don't know, some of his lines I hear are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like maybe he came back so we could kill him again or something
Yeah.
like that. Like he has some wild lines in that movie.
I do love that movie, but that one it's literal overkill for that. But at the same time, it sets up what you do.
I haven't seen Warzone yet, but I know
We'll check
that
it out,
that the Jigsaw. I've just heard about the Jigsaw scene where he's getting like. I hear that movie's more like kind of funny where he's getting like transformed into Jigsaw, and he was just like "fuck, ow, fuck," and he keeps going through the glass thing.
yeah,
I
that
could
one.
see Punisher
had-
actually in this
great.
'89 movie, kind of.
Uh,
Like if they were to do something like that, I could kind of see him fitting. Like if they were
Jigsaw.
to do a sequel to this,
yeah, no, I
I could see a Jigsaw in the sequel for this. Like it'd have to be probably maybe a little bit more probably toned down. I don't know if we'd get like a full. It wouldn't be like the Netflix version where he just has like a little,
better not. That was
a little like
bad excuse for a Jigsaw.
scratch on his face. That was ridiculous. I was just like, why even bother at that point unless it's like a Doctor Doom thing
Yeah.
where he thinks that he's hideous and then he takes off his like mask and it's just like one like deep scar, like one like tiny scar, and that's it.
Yeah, like whatever we think of Warzone, because that's the least. I thought there's a part in the interview where Kim says that she's seen Punisher Warzone, and she's like, "Well, I'm going to be honest. I thought she was going to go into her thoughts on that movie, since a lot of people, shit on that movie. But instead, she was admitting that she doesn't really follow much of it, which I think is fine, especially considering the fact that her character's not even in the comics. So I'm very. People might be surprised in terms of how lenient I might come across in terms of actors doing the research, because I'm kind of like, look, the ones who need to really do the research are the writers and the directors, because that's what's going to form this entire thing. But the actor, you're tied in to what's in the script. So a good example is how Olivia Munn, I think, did a ton of research for Psylocke, for X-Men, but does it really come through that much in the movie? Not really, because they barely give her much of anything. So like it almost
She's in like
doesn't
5
matter.
minutes of that movie.
Yeah, it just really didn't matter how much she put in, because clearly the writers didn't give a shit for that part. So that's why I'm just like, well, is it really that important for the actor to put that much research in compared to the writer and director? In my opinion, not that much. It all has to be in the script, and you play what's in the script. And we've also seen such good
And the director too.
Yeah, the
and
director,
like their
director,
intention for like what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and so and some performance choices, I'm kind of like, well, how much of that is down to the comics?
There are some choices
versus the
in this movie with some of the like Mel Gibson's like brother, right? He's in this with some of the
Mel Gibson's
it's like
brother's
that.
a
Is he
henchman,
the same?
Yeah.
Is he the same guy that when they're in the restaurant and they're about to be killed or something, he's like, "If you're gonna kill us, just do it. Come on," or something like that. Like he's just like acting his heart out.
Yeah, no, I think he gets killed at the docks. Mel Gibson's brother, plays a guy who gets killed at the docks, I think, and it's another dude. But it's funny how Kim kind of called that out in the interview, where she's like, they were a little over the top.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, it's the '80s. Like, I don't know, it's kind of the charm of it. Like, even like the guy I named myself after in this kind of the
Shakes.
Punisher's drunken sidekick. Like, I don't even know. Yeah. Like he's kind of over. He rhymes some of his lines and everything, and he kind of has like an interesting, almost sing-songy way of talking. But like it works for that character. I mean, literally, one of the scenes you see him in, Punisher like bribes him with booze, where there's like this little remote control car he uses that has booze on the end of it, and he gets information from him like that. Like I don't know. Like it's definitely a really like fun, like it doesn't take itself 100% seriously.
Right.
It's like a fun 80s action movie. It's not as silly as if you had like Arnold Schwarzenegger play the Terminator, not Terminator, damn, the Punisher or something. I feel like that would be
Yeah.
pretty crazy, especially the ending with the with him wanting
Do it now.
no, that was the thing I was picturing where the son's holding the gun up to his head. It's like, come on, do it, come on,
Kill me. Yeah.
Come on, kill me.
So the Shakes character also contributes, like you said, to the feeling of this being a comic booky thing, with the just how heightened a lot of this is. I mean, again, you got ninjas going down a slide as they're firing at him. Like, it's not.
And they're at like a carnival or something, right?
Yeah,
Like at some point, aren't they? Isn't one of their bases like near a carnival or something?
Yeah, he finds them at the carnival, and they take him from there. But that is again, there's for something that isn't necessarily following the comics to a T, it does get the spirit right from where we're sitting in terms of it feeling like a Marvel comic movie still. So I do appreciate that.
He pulls a Batman in this movie.
There's a what?
A little bit with the breaking through the. He pulls a Batman with breaking through the skylight and everything, and like shooting people. I was just like, hey, like they did it around the same time. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. One of our supporters, Yeet, was there in person with me, and he was like pointing at the screen at that point, doing the Leo
Yodel
thing.
King or another guy.
You don't know Yeet. He's
okay. I thought it was Yodel King
no,
for
not
a
the Yodel.
second. I was like, oh man.
But another,
he's like, that's not my name.
another cool thing that I want to highlight that I miss. So in terms of things that I miss, because the Workprint Cut does have the cool origin sequence that we'll go into that I think really makes it worth watching. But stuff that's in the final cuts that I miss, one of those is the music. I miss the music. In the Workprint Cut, they use temp music. Apparently, some people online have identified that they use some of the themes from the Rambo movies during the action sequences, which would make sense. But I missed the score, like from Dennis Dreeth. Dennis Dreeth did the score that sort of, again, gives the comic booky feel to it. And there was a lot that was done in terms of Logan, again, shared with me an interview with Dennis Dreeth where they talked about how they wanted to give that identifiable theme to the Punisher, which again feels very much in the range of the superhero movies to do something like that. So I think the Dennis Dreeth score really fits the character. I like the Tom Jane one. That one has this sort of sad Western heroic trumpet theme by Carlos Siliano, but I feel like this one probably fits Frank better actually, because that one feels a little bit more heroic. This one, though, is a little bit just like he's here to kill you. It's not quite horror movie, but it has the right tone to it, and I think it's. I do love the score here, so I did miss it when I was watching the Workprint, and I was like, "Wait a minute, where's the that's in the end credits." And then the last thing that I missed that's in the original, I say the original, but it's really the final version. Those voiceovers you were talking about, where he's like, I asked God why are the guilty not punished? Like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's at the beginning and at the end. And it's such a great line at the end too, where he's like, I'm still waiting for an answer from God.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's great. Not in the Workprint. And I missed it. Probably wasn't recorded at that point, since I know it's in the script. So I think they just hadn't had Dolph do the ADR or the dubbing yet at that time. But I do miss that from that. So again, it's not completely like definitely watch this one all the time over the other. But if I were to have my choice, I would mostly watch maybe the first 10 minutes of the Workprint Cut and then skip over to the unrated cut.
Yeah.
For the most part. But of course, we'll talk about the ending too. But
the opening's kind of interesting in the fact that like it's kind of not shot like traditionally. Like it kind of is like almost like a POV shot of like, the guy driving and like going, because he's trying to get like a hooker at the beginning, like this guy, and like they're like it's a sting operation, or not like a sting operation, but they're trying to like get somebody basically. And there's just a moment where like you see people talking, and it's like got this kind of raw like guerrilla feel to it, and especially like I don't know, like just seeing that, I'm like, it's a very like not traditional way to open it. And I will say, like, I do like the title sequence in the actual theatrical version, but like this one, like actually has like with this wording right here, like it actually opens with that, and I'm like, I kind of like that's kind
Yeah,
of
the
cool.
logo.
Like I like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that logo. I wish that I don't know if it fit the final movie. Maybe they saw that and they're like, that kind of big, bold, like lettering kind of maybe doesn't fit this more gritty, grimy feel to it. Maybe they made that decision.
yeah.
After they did some work on it. I don't know.
Yeah. There's no opening titles sequence in the Workprint cut, which kind of makes sense as the Workprint. But we'll go into the opening prologue of that Workprint and why it's so good after the break. Hey guys, every month you get a new episode of Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Isn't that right, Alex?
That's right, Ben.
Yeah. But what if you could get more and support our show? So you can get an extra episode of our show per month if you support us on Patreon over at www.patreon.com/superherosysk, where you mainly get the $5 tier or the $10 tier. On the $5 tier, you'll get your name shouted out at the end of the episode from Alex himself in a Stickley voice, or maybe some other voice. We'll see what happens with this episode.
That's right, Ben.
What the hell is going on here?
What the hell is going on here?
You'll also
listen up, he's gonna tell you.
We'll also have early access for you to all our videos and episodes if you're part of the $5 tier. You'll also get an exclusive episode each month for that tier. So an exclusive episode could be about a deeper dive into a novelization. We've covered the Alan Grant Jr. novelization for Batman Forever on there. We can also cover comics or alternate history of comics. We've done like the what if in terms of what if Jason Todd had survived a death in the family. We have reviews. We sometimes cover news. We sometimes do deeper dive into smaller things. We had a whole 2.5-hour episode on each of the characters who showed up in the mural of the Hall of Justice in James Gunn's Superman. Though I gotta say, that's probably like our highest viewed Patreon episode, looking at the views there. Yeah. Or it's the same guy who just couldn't get enough of our talk about the Ghost of Flanders. You know who you are. So on the $10 monthly meetup, you'll get the meet and chat with Alex and me about all the latest superhero news, movies, TV shows. This is a virtual meetup in a Zoom setting that we usually have on like a Wednesday night.
It's not in person.
Sit down and talk about it. It's not in person. Sorry, we can't fly us all over there. You got to pay a lot more to the Patreon to do that. And in some ways, the other perks you get on the $10 tier is you get to influence the show in some ways. We give you sometimes the options of a poll to vote on things like thumbnails or even what episodes to cover, and you also get the opportunity to submit questions for future guest interviews that are in the StreamYard setting that we're doing, where we have enough time to cover everything. So if this is an interview episode you're listening to or watching right now, there's probably some Patreon patrons who were able to submit some questions for this one. So check it out. And if you want to help us out, but you can't afford an ongoing monthly Patreon subscription, totally understand. That's okay too, because we're also selling collections of Patreon exclusive series. These are playlists of the $5 tier episodes curated by myself that are kind of sold individually. You don't have to sign up for a subscription. You can just have a one-time donation, and you can have it per each playlist that you want to get. We have playlists of deeper dives into things like the Tim Burton Batman films, of course, one of our specialties. We've got the movie magazines for Batman 89 and Batman Returns. We covered those. We also have an episode-by-episode deep dive into the Penguin show. If you love that show too, like I did.
How much does it cost, Ben? $100?
$100? $100 per episode. No, it's not $100. It's more like $12 for the entire thing.
That's a bargain.
Yeah, for what used to be months and months of Patreon episodes, I put them all together for you just for $12 or so. So you can just donate $12 and get all that content and not have to worry about a monthly subscription. So check that out. And Alex says that it's a bargain, and he would know because he also, before he became co-host, used to be a fan who was a Patreon patron who was donating and was an audience who was part of those episodes. So
that's right.
Thank you, Alex. Now, what if you like the show, but you don't just want more content? You want something, tangible, something to hold in your hands, something that you could even wear. Well, you want some merch, and we have that too. As you can see, I'm wearing this Quick Change Bruce Wayne shirt resembling the Kenner action figure that was famous, that a lot of you guys, I know you're a Superhero Stuff You Should Know type audience. Either you're listening to it or you're somebody who's a good candidate for it if you recognize this shirt in the wild and ask, where did you get that shirt? So we can tell you, here's where you can get that shirt. This is an exclusive Superhero Stuff You Should Know styled shirt designed by a fan of the show, Cole Watkins. very talented artist. He helped design this. This is a special Superhero Stuff You Should Know version. As you can see, the red bat says Superhero SYSK, but it does not mess with the overall quick change Bruce Wayne dynamic that you see here. This shirt not only resembles the action figure, but also has been worn by a Batman. Yes, it's been worn by former guest of the show, Carl Newman, who is the movement double for Michael Keaton in Batman 89 in the suit. And he brings the action figure to life here, looking like he's right outside Wayne Manor, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just
Looks
chilling
pretty
out.
good.
Yeah. So, and then all the comments, of course, all want one. So if you want one of your own, go to our TeePublic link in the description. Go to the link there. You can scroll down. You'll see a variety of different options you can have. It doesn't just have to be this long sleeve shirt, though most people will go for that because it resembles the Michael Keaton action figure the most. But you can also get this design on t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and at the same time, you could also get the same stuff from the logo that Dan designed. Yes, our new logo from Dan of Superhero Stuff You Should Know. You can get that type of merch on TeePublic on the same types of things, either tank tops, hoodies, mugs, stickers, hats. They're all on there on the TeePublic, as well as merch for My Comics, Alter Ego, and Musashi and Son. So any of these will help basically the show, and it's money that you pay that does not go into us spending it on batarangs or things like that, or this grappling gun and that type of stuff. It goes to paying Dan for the work he does for us. He's our producer, our editor. He does a lot for us on here, and the money goes to him as well as goes to the StreamYard subscription that we use that enables us to record in this way. So please get yourself some more of our show, get yourself some merch, and support us if you can.
And remember, you gotta have your Superhero Stuff You Should Know merch while you're watching Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
That's right. It's not a Superhero Stuff You Should Know episode without a Superhero Stuff You Should Know ball cap.
That's okay, they can get it next time, Ben.
We are back, and before we go into the Workprint Cut, I wanted to show a few things. One is, of course, the comic book adaptation, which is pretty much the only media that's related to this movie that has Frank wear the skull. This version of, you see him spray painted. So, like I said,
I kind of really like that. That's
cool,
really
right?
cool.
Cool, right? This is the comic adaptation that I showed to Kim. She had signed it for me at the event, but the funny thing is I don't think she had seen it before, and I gave her the heads up. I was like, I don't think they got the likeness rights to anybody in the cast, so nobody
doesn't look like it.
Yeah, because that's supposed to be Franco, this Carmine Falcone looking guy in the black. That's Franco right there, with a mustache, and that
the artist got confused. Wrong comic.
But yeah, nobody really matches up to what they look like in the movie. But this is the main one.
Surprise me.
Yeah, this is the main one that shows the skull, because that was in the original script, like I brought up in the interview, where in the Robert Mark Kamen draft, it was going to be that Frank doesn't don the skull until he spray paints it into the finale. So it's very fitting that one YouTuber who put the skull on Dolph, they mainly put it on Dolph when it was the finale, because that was the easiest to put it on, because Dolph's usually got that big coat in all the other scenes. But
the tracking would be hard.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got that, and then we had Greg Bevel, who emailed us with this poster. Very classic. Has that voiceover from the end in terms of talking to God and asking if what he does is right or wrong, and he's still waiting for an answer. And then that logo that you talked about. This was to announce the commencement of principal photography on this movie. So they were obviously very much excited for jumping into this. And then this, also from Greg, is from an old comic book and science fiction convention at LA, where they were screening the movie at Shrine Hall on July 1990. So you can see that here. We've got the skulls there. So pretty cool. So thanks, Greg.
They used to do like some stuff like that where they would just like kind of underground, where like that's like with the Fantastic Four, like 90s thing, where they were just like, hey, this random convention thing, let's just show this thing that no one's ever going to see again. Like, it's going to be up here for a limited time. I feel like they don't do shit like that. Used to be a thing too with like other comic conventions, but I feel like that's not much of a thing anymore. I don't know.
I miss when it was like that, because now comic conventions have been sort of overtaken by studios to announce movies, many movies of which are not even comic book related. So it's I miss the times where this was more of an underground thing, and you could more easily see footage of this one movie that you could just walk into the hall, as opposed to wait in line for hours and half the hall was filled with reporters, like that type of stuff. So we didn't know how good we had it at that time.
That's like when there's the one of the first cons I went to, and this was in the mid 2000s, I think, slash like maybe the 2010s. But there was like they had a Young Justice panel there, and it was like I think it was after the first season or something. I think that was like how early on it was. Like they hadn't even started the second season yet. And I remember I think I stopped Greg Weisman or one of the guys in there, and like, this is my first convention. I didn't really know what to say. So I was just like, hey, I really like the show. You guys are doing an amazing job. It's like, thanks, man. And that was it. Like, it was one of those where it's like, you go up to meet somebody and basically.
Yeah, I briefly met Greg Weisman it was I think it was the Free Comic Book Day event, and he was signing stuff for the Gargoyles comic, but I didn't really have anything either. I was just like, thanks for your work. That was about it. I didn't really have any questions.
I've been watching Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I've been watching through Spectacular Spider-Man recently. Speaking of Greg Weisman, that guy, he knows what he's doing with some TV shows and stuff. It's got a future.
Yeah. He might. Cool. He just might. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about this, what I call the prologue, where it is this origin sequence of Frank Castle becoming the Punisher in terms of losing his family. And again, we only just see it in flashbacks in the final cut, but here we get more of a backstory. I thought it was funny when I first saw this that in the first time we meet Sam Leary, the blonde cop, in the final version, she's just like, hey, remember me from that stakeout thing? I was the hooker. And then I didn't realize she would actually show up as the hooker in this Workprint cut. So that was funny. But one of the big highlights to this is seeing Frank and Berkowitz as partners on a stakeout before all this stuff happens. And you really come to see how this highlights or showcases Dolph Lundgren's performance, because he just feels so much more alive as Frank. He's joking around with Berkowitz and his family later on. And so the contrast between what you see in the beginning and how like dead he seems for the rest of this movie shows how much of this is a deliberate choice on his part, not just like him being like, well, I'm just, it's just a paycheck, in terms of acting stuff. Like it's a deliberate choice for sure.
He especially, I know he got dogged on because people are like, like people saying he couldn't act and everything. But I'm like, it like you said, it really does him a disservice, because you see it's like, no, like it's like I was telling you when I was watching, it's like day and night seeing the difference, not just him, but with like Lou Gossett Jr., where like he's like they're playing around, they're almost like brothers, basically at the beginning, where like they're having like a moment where he's eating this like unhealthy food and everything, and then like he gives him Frank gives him some of his food basically from his wife to eat, and like they have, it seems like talks they have all the time, basically like they seem like old friends. And you get like a lot of that, and even like seeing him with the family, like seeing Lou Gossett Jr.'s character with like the family, you see like this whole dynamic and like how close he is with all of them, and it's that much more heartbreaking seeing what he lost, basically.
And they really sell what he says later when he tells Frank in the jail cell, when he tells Frank like, they were my family too, like I lost that family too. Like in the final version, you kind of just like, okay, that's backstory I didn't really know, but in the Workprint one, like, oh, you see it, you experience it, so it hits harder when he says that. So they're here on a stakeout to take down Moretti, who is the mobster you see later on in the Workprint, but in the opening of the unrated version. And I've noticed this to you too, but it almost feels like Moretti has a different accent in the Workprint version, where he kind of sounds a little bit more mobster like, and it's like, come on, give me the rest of the dope type of thing. And then later on, when the reporters talk to him, he's like, let me tell you about this Punisher.
It's actually a good impression. That's exactly how he sounds. Maybe it's like a put on thing. Maybe it's like
Yeah,
Trying
I
to
was
think,
thinking that
'cause
too, but he kind
I've
of still
seen
talks
that
about
before
like
with
that when he
something
gets
else.
home. It's like enough funny business. So I don't know if he was.
Maybe he just made a choice. It's just like maybe they were like, "Yeah, we're probably gonna cut this anyway. Just let him, let him run with
Just
it."
gonna learn what punished really means. Yeah. So
Yeah, I actually do like that voice he does.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like I like its cool voice.
I do. I did like that. Yeah. But he does during the stakeout. Shit goes down. Frank and Berkowitz have to shoot their way through. Moretti takes Sam hostage and sort of uses her in order to get away and escape. And we learn more and more about how Moretti is just kind of he's not the big boss, he's the underboss to Gianni Franco, who is the main mobster guy who's going to be in this movie. We meet Castle and his family. We learn
Who is he, by the way? The main guy. Has he been in anything that I would
your
know? Because
own
he seems
Kravitz. Yes,
familiar.
we were talking about this with Kim in terms of he was the villain in The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton as James Bond.
That's what it is.
Also,
Okay.
he's the villain in The Fugitive.
Oh shit!
yeah.
He looked familiar. I was just like, I knew I'd seen him from something. I'm like, yeah, okay.
I don't know if you heard John Mulaney's little he does a stand-up thing on The Fugitive where he does a thing where he's like setting up a story, but then he starts randomly talking about the movie that he references. He's like, the part where blah blah blah, but like the funny part is where he talks about that scene in The Fugitive where Harrison Ford confronts Yaron, I guess is how you pronounce it according to Kim. But he's like, by the way, did we ever find out where that guy's accent came from? Like where he's really from? I was like, that's a good point. But yeah, there's almost like a trilogy of he's the main villain in like 3 major movie thrillers, right? With a James Bond movie, Punisher movie, and The Fugitive, and then I don't know what else he's been in, but like
he's good though. He's
good,
very
yeah.
like he's. I would kind of compare him a little bit to maybe not exactly the same thing, but he's a little bit more likable than this guy. But kind of similar vibes of the guy from the Dark Knight. It's like, hey, you gotta throw me off or
Eric
pick a
Roberts.
better
Yeah,
spot.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of that.
He's
kind
more
of
of the
vibe
the sophisticated gentleman villain type, which I think is what kind of made him more interesting to me than if they just did the Costa family from the comics, because there's not really like they haven't really adapted the mobsters from the original Punisher origin, but at the same time, I can't really blame them because I'm like, these guys aren't really that interesting in the original.
It's
Archie
just a
Goodwin.
means to an
Yeah,
end.
exactly. So I can kind of see why they got fleshed out differently in the movie adaptations.
He's based off of Death Wish, like right, like isn't that's what I've heard with the Punisher's character is he's apparently like kind of based off like a Death Wish kind of thing.
So I've seen Death Wish, and I feel like there's like a little bit of a connection in terms of like his family gets attacked and he wants revenge, but he's
based off a literary
he's
character.
more
I think
the
I've heard
executioner.
about
Yeah,
this.
that's the one that I'm thinking of.
The Executioner. That's what it is.
That one's
yeah.
more. That one's much closer, I think, because Death Wish. One of the twists in Death Wish is that he's a doctor. Charles Bronson starts off as like this doctor who was kind of a pacifist during the Vietnam War, and so he doesn't really become. It's not like he's got this past in Vietnam, like maybe it's Korea. I forgot which one which war that he was in, but he doesn't quite have the same past as Frank Castle, who fully on like went off and killed people in Vietnam. And if you've read Punisher Max Born, you know the extent, that platoon type of story that he went through, that was established later on by Garth Ennis. But yeah, it's not I didn't think it was that close to what Punisher would become as much compared to what I've heard about the Executioner character created by Don Pendleton, who's a guy named Mac Bolan, who again, he's a veteran who comes back home, loses his family, and decides to start executing a bunch of mobsters. Sound familiar? So yeah, that's probably what it is. I haven't checked out those books yet, but I'm sure I'm going to find a lot of similarities.
Yeah. I know that the only, because you mentioned Punisher Max, the only thing I've kind of read Punisher wise from beginning to end, it's one of the darkest ones. I think it's Punisher Max, like Kingpin, and it's I think by Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
and the only thing I remember from it, it's been a long time since I've read it, but Kingpin is in jail, and like it's implied he gets sexually assaulted, basically, where it shows like him like freaking out and everything, and then he pays for the prisoner who did it to him for the like his wife to get like sexually assaulted by like homeless like drug addicts, basically, and filmed and sent to him in prison for him to watch, basically. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was one of those where I'm like, this is a lot. I'm surprised that they were, I don't know, it's like Punisher Max, they don't have a comics code, but like just some of that stuff, I'm like, the way it's told, you would think like it's kind of like it's how it's told, like it's not like to the point where I'm like, this is gratuitous. Like the way it's told, it actually is like, okay, like this fits this dark stuff. But it's one of those where I'm like, I have to be in a certain mood to watch like something like this. The Punisher movie, I feel like it's not that heavy or dark. I mean, like it's mostly just like an action movie that's like kind of fun. I mean, even he's got jokes in here like, oh, who are you working for? It's like Batman or something like that. Like it's, I don't know. This one I can watch at any time, but Punisher comics I feel like are a whole different vibe. Like they're definitely, you have to be in a certain headspace to read those, I feel like.
Yeah, I think too this was brought up during the interview in the Q&A, but like it wasn't as extreme during this time as well in terms of the comics. So they didn't, like there was no Punisher Max by the time of this movie. Whereas now we've crossed so many different lines that you kind of have to, like you said, like be in a certain mood in order to read that type of stuff. I haven't read that Kingpin one, but I think I read all of Garth Ennis in Punisher Max. And
does he make a deal with the devil or something to basically be like,
I don't remember if I got to that part. I don't think I got to
that.
Yeah.
I've heard some stuff where I'm like, I heard it's really good, but I've heard like it's really good. Stop at this point before spoilers for a really old comic. Before he's like, oh, I know you secretly want to be the Punisher, so give me your family and like you'll be the Punisher and everything. Like I don't know, like it's one of those where I'm like,
maybe that's implied
too far.
in Bourne. Is just, it's not a formal thing where it's literally Frank Castle shaking hands with the devil. It's kind of more of it's more subtle.
I think it's like, I think it's later on. Maybe it's what I heard. Maybe it's like a later volume or something. I don't know. But he wrote it for a while, right?
Yeah.
Like Garth Ennis.
That
he
as
wrote
well
that
as the Marvel Knights stuff, which I'd like to read more of because I've mainly read Welcome Back Frank, which of course was the big influence on the Tom Jane version. And I think they're releasing the Confederacy of
with the Russian.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I haven't read it, but I know the Russian is in the
releasing the Confederacy of Dunce's storyline, which is Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Daredevil trying to take down Punisher together and not doing so hot. So I'm curious to read the full arc because Logan had sent me one of the issues there.
Yeah, I know that. I actually lost my train of thought. Anyway, you keep going.
Well, in terms of crossovers, though, we get a little bit of one in this. We get Spider-Man twice. So when Frank is quote unquote attacked by his two daughters, they're wearing Spider-Man pajamas. And then later on, when it is
what's in the background there, the cape. I was looking at that earlier. Like,
it's Superman.
Is that just a generic?
No,
that's Superman.
No, it looks like it could be, but it kind of also looks like
it's a generic superhero kind of.
Yeah. So I think it's a generic superhero, but clearly this party is superhero themed since you've got the Spider-Man balloon and that caped figure on the decoration. It looks like in the background. So it was cool to have that. So again, despite them saying, well, we don't want this to be too comic booky, they found a way to sneak this in. So that I thought was kind of funny. And you've got like Frank's wife saying, "Go get him, Tiger," as well.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, somebody, obviously who wrote the original or one of the scripts, like was a big comic fan because we've talked about that kind of off mic, but like obviously, like the other one had like spoiler alert, guys, had like Daredevil in it or something.
Matt
like
Murdock
the
has a
one
cameo in
the
the original Boaz Yakin script. So it would kind of make sense, though. I don't know if this was put in by Boaz, because I think this origin sequence is not in that draft. That Yaki
Might have
wrote.
just been the director, because the
Yeah.
director clearly knows.
Mhm.
He's not always correct about his his comic knowledge, but clearly he, even though he claims like maybe he's become like a comic fan later, because it kind of seems like he knows a little bit about the comics.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes they
Yeah,
become,
it's interesting.
they become fans later after working on it, and here it's like, well, we won't put the skull on the shirt, but we'll have Spider-Man pajamas for the kids and a Spider-Man balloon in the background, and go get them tag.
I was joking with you that I think the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man, it kind of would fit, because that one's like kind of a somewhat grounded version. I mean, he fights ninjas in that, so I mean, like
True.
it's
Could have
kind of
been,
it could
maybe
work.
Tanaka's ninjas, yeah. So,
Yeah, there you go.
You've got
Where's that movie?
Hammond with Lundgren, and then Tobey Maguire of Tom Jane, I think is a given. Because that's like right around the same time. I mean, this is Spider-Man 2 and The Punisher are out in the same year. And then some people,
There's that famous. Yeah. Go ahead. You
people
were going to
have
say the thing I was going to say.
claimed that Tom Jane has a cameo, but it's really just a dude who looks like him in the background. I don't think it's really him. Of Spider-Man 2.
Or the X-Men, thing where they had Scott Leva run on the set with like the full. This is before the Spider-Man movie came out, but he's in full like that Spider-Man outfit, and he's like, "Oh, wrong movie," and everything. Like just like little moments like that. It's like, man, like that's. I know back in the day, like with zero context, that probably like blew like a fan's mind and everything before like, information was widely available about stuff like that.
Yeah. I think obviously that was meant to be an in-joke. I had heard there was like a clip as well. That was an interview with Dean Cain, where apparently they were trying to work out a way for him to have a jokey Superman cameo in Batman Forever. Unfortunately, that video I can't find anymore. So they've always tried to do some sort of thing like this with that, but I don't think that's actually Tom Jane anyway in the Spider-Man 2 movie. I think
they weren't thinking about stuff like that back then.
And I think it's just wishful thinking on fans' part. And then I guess Ray Stevenson would be with Andrew Garfield. They're both kind of darker, dark type worlds. So I guess, and then obviously John Bernthal's with Tom Holland, as we're about to see.
Where's the Lou Ferrigno like Dolph Lundgren Hulk movie? I'd actually kind of watch that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, like I think that you could kind of, if you squint a little, you can imagine that that's all part of the same world, and that it was the Rex Smith, Matt Murdock who would have been the one to show up in this.
Oh, I would. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool to see. I could definitely see like the full with the black Daredevil suit like interacting with this one. Man, somebody make fan art of that out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So in the sequence, Frank gets called away from his birthday because they find out that they got to catch Franco before he leaves the country. So he tracks them down at the airport, where he meets Franco's son Tommy for the first time, which sets up how sort of not necessarily their dynamic, because they don't necessarily have a dynamic, but it kind of sets up that Frank cares about kids, and that's going to care, not just his own, but cares about kids in general, and that's going to carry over into the story. And it's sort of hinted that Moretti has, quote unquote, taken care of things, which is really planning a car bomb over at Frank Castle's house, which leads to the deaths of Frank's family. And Berkowitz sees Frank rush into the car before the bomb explodes one more time, and that's the end of the origin sequence.
That was good editing, because like I was like, okay, now I could totally see why he thinks he died.
Yeah,
because of just how that ended. I was kind of surprised. I thought, usually with stuff like that, you get the little like moment after the explosion where you see like like him come out of it, but like that was definitely effective. Like Frank, like I think he even says it, like Frank died then, like it's like with that explosion he died, and then like with him coming back with what we see with the other explosion, him killing those other mobsters like Punisher is like born to the public and everything.
Yeah, for sure. we go into that news report that opens the other versions, but there's not. Maybe there would have been a more formal, like 5 years later type of thing, because we do kind of go directly from the car explosion. A little bit of black, I think,
That was an actual
and then
newscaster.
the thing. Yeah, he did look familiar, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used like a set or something. Or I don't even know if they used a set. They might have just filmed that at a news station, but the director was saying, he's like, yeah, that was just a guy the actual newscaster did in one take, is what he said. He did a good job. Like, he was
Nice.
talking about that on the commentary.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of go into the rest of the movie. That is what it is in the unrated and theatrical versions. I believe the main difference between the theatrical and the unrated is just like added violence between the two takes. I don't think there's necessarily added scenes, so it is just a little bit longer.
It's just more bloody.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't think I've seen the original quote unquote theatrical cut. It didn't get a full US release, but whatever you want to call that original cut, I don't think I've seen that one. I've only seen the unrated.
This one's from Australia. I told you about that. This one's actually from Australia. So like I have the what's it called? The unrated cut, the work print. And I think it's like it also has maybe the theatrical. I have the theatrical version on here too. But yeah, it has a gag reel on here too.
Yeah, set to Talking Heads' Psycho Killer, because we had it playing in the background at one point during the CineFile event. So I got to see a little bit of it, but I was obviously busy during that, so I didn't quite get to watch it. But for those who are interested in the Workprint cut, you can get the Australian Blu-ray that Alex has, and obviously CineFile got a copy in order to show people. So the origin sequence is the main major difference, I would say, between the two different versions, with this origin sequence kind of being something that I was like, okay, if you want to watch the ultimate cut, it would be kind of like watching this, then skipping over to the unrated version where car blows up and then cut to the opening titles, with the Punisher titles that I think will sort of bridges us nicely into 5 years later with him taking down Moretti and all that stuff. But there is an slightly alternate ending that was shot for this film that you see the original ending for in the Workprint cut. So we are going to cover that after the next break. Hey everyone, I wanted to share about my manga, Musashi and Son, the one that you heard about in the previous break. It is my take on the legendary samurai, the real-life samurai Miyamoto Musashi. I had the pleasure of discussing this at LA Comic-Con with fellow podcasters Jonathan London of Geekscape and Zach Schaefer of $2 Late Fee. You can check out the episode Geekscape Live at Comic-Con, LA Comic-Con 2025 for the full panel. But this is just a snippet where Zach of $2 Late Fee got to ask me about it, and we went more into it. So check it out. Thank you.
Can I ask Ben a question?
Yeah, of course. You guys are you guys are on the same network.
Yeah.
Please,
so
you're friends.
I only see Ben. I see Christian maybe more than that, but Ben once a year. Ben has like 3 or 4 comics in front of us and a graphic novel trade, looks like. And I looked through one. It's Musashi and Son.
Yeah.
And
I sold that at a panel.
Beautiful illustrations, but I just kind of went through the writing a little bit. It's really fantastic.
Ben's a really good writer.
Ben's got some cool stuff here. I'm kind of tripping out. But I look at Musashi and Son, and I'm like, James Liu would be a great lead in if there was a film version of this. Put some beard on him and put a long hair, for ponytail and whatnot. I think it would be pretty awesome. But I'm tripping over your stuff. It's so cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been in the works for a while. I mean, the first time that Jonathan brought me onto the panel, I was like, I've got issue 1 in the works, and now I got 3 of one series, and the other one is Musashi and Son, which is, we sold a copy of it earlier today at a panel because it catches your eye. Like, the Ira is the name of the artist, and she does fantastic work, and she's also really fast and does fantastic work, which is rare in the comics industry. So I owe her pages because she's a lot faster than I am in the writing, so I have to do it. But yeah, it's essentially based off the real life story of Miyamoto Musashi, who is known for the Book of Five Rings and all these duels. But one thing that I found out about his life was that he adopted this one child that he found who was an orphan. The orphan was sharpening a sword, and he's asking, "Why are you sharpening the sword?" And the kid says, "Well, my father died yesterday. I'm not strong enough or big enough," because he's 10, to carry him up the hill to bury him. So I'm going to take the sword. I'm going to chop my father in half and take it up in 2 trips. And Musashi says, how about you don't cut your father in half? I help you, but in return, I train you to be a warrior. And so he trains this boy to become a samurai himself. Flash forward many years later, they fight side by side together in a battle. We don't really know what happens in between. So this story is about how that came about.
Wait, hold up. Is this folklore? Or is this actually...
This is the this is the
this is the
folklore
legend
that
as it
I've
was told.
been-
Yeah,
this is the legend of Musashi.
This is a
So
great story.
I'm going through like here are the details of that, where you have a child whose father is a fisherman, a farmer. He's someone who's been shown affection the way that we're used to. But Musashi, his only way to show that he cares is to teach a kid how to kill somebody.
because right here in this panel room, Zach's son is sharpening a sword.
Yeah.
That was given to him by somebody on the Comic-Con floor. And we just need Zach to keel over. And we can see if
And then
Bodhi
James Lou will come over.
We'll see if Bodhi wants Hey Bodhi, you want to split your dad in half? I ain't training you to do nothing.
And if there would be a role for Steven Seagal in the film version, everything we've talked about would actually
Hey man,
be
I'm all
synergized in
for.
one thing.
I think I loved working with James Lou. I'd love to work with James Lou again, but Steven Seagal and Bodhi.
No, as a minor character. We know James is the lead, but there has to be somebody Steven could be.
There are villains. There are villains.
Perfect.
Because the boy lost his father in my version.
He gets a
because
cake
Bandits
thrown at
killed
him and
his
he eats
father.
it.
And so Musashi's like, I'm going to train you to wipe them out.
So a
and get
Russian
revenge.
sympathizing bandit. See,
Ben,
we
where-
found a spot for
Where
Steven
can we get this
Seagal.
book? Where can we get your
you
book?
You can get it on Amazon, or if you're here, I mean, if you're interested, you can just buy it off of me. I have copies.
Yo, we
on
got
it.
20 minutes left in this con. What are you talking about?
And that is Musashi and Son. You can check it out in the Amazon link below under my author page. We have Volume 1, The Ring of Earth, that you heard me talk about, and then Volume 2, The Ring of Water, is releasing this year in 2026. You can get both off of Amazon. You can also get merch on our TeePublic that we list below. Under my name, you get all the superhero stuff you should know merch that I talked about earlier, but also Musashi and Son. So check that out. Thank you. We are back, and there are actually 2 different versions of the finale for this movie. Let's go into it. If you've seen the unrated or theatrical version, you see that Franco attempts to kill the Punisher, leading to a fight between the 2 of them. Punisher shoots him in front of his son, Tommy. And then Franco dies, but Tommy vows vengeance. The Punisher then challenges him to get it done already. And so he brings the gun that Tommy picked up and brings it to his head, encouraging him to finish him off already.
Do it.
Do it now. Yeah, but when he,
Do it now.
when he can't, Punisher tells him to grow up to be a good man. And if he doesn't, he'll be waiting, which is such a great moment. I love that because it's just like, I spent this entire movie trying to rescue you, but if you become anything like your dad, I'll fucking kill you. The end. You know, like it ends with him threatening a kid. And it just goes to show
Still
how
good
far
movie of the year.
yeah, exactly. So if you've seen that, that's generally what happens. And what you see in the unrated version is actually a reshot version of the ending. I've been following the Punisher book account, which is a behind the scenes book that's been published in French, and he's interviewed Kim beforehand. But it's going to be released in English eventually, but he's been sort of giving tidbits to everybody around. But anyway, in both versions, Tommy doesn't want his dad to kill Frank, but the main difference is that in the original Workprint cut, when Tommy objects, Franco turns around and Frank uses the opportunity to stab him. And then Franco dies just like that. There's no final fight. So I believe the decision came to reshoot this because they're like, well, there needs to be a bigger fight between him and the guy who killed his family, which I agree with. I think that was a good decision for them to reshoot that and do that. But I will say I do like what happens next in the Workprint cut. So they not only reshot that fight, but they also reshot the part where Tommy vows vengeance and Frank says, okay, go ahead and do it. So we have I'm pulling up the differences right now. So on the left is the unrated version. On the right, we have the Workprint version. And as you can tell, Dolph is much more emotional in the Workprint.
Yeah. I kind of like the theatrical one. That's kind of why I was like joking about with the Arnold thing. He's kind of over the top in the work print one where he's like, "Come on!" Like he's like yelling. I was like, "Dude, you've been like at like such a level this whole movie. This feels so out of character for you to be like just screaming at this kid for you to shoot him in the head and everything. This other one, the theatrical one, feels just so much more appropriate for the character we've seen so far. Like the other one's way too over the top.
See, I'm mixed on this because I kind of like the desperation. I like the desperation as opposed to the first one where, like you said, he is in more control and that fits in with the rest of it. But I will say sometimes that things feel more dramatic when a character acts out of character, right? So the fact that he's this more emotional or out of control was something that I thought was really, really cool and really interesting. And I think what shows sort of the different interpretations from audiences is that our friend and Patreon patron Brady saw the unrated cut on the left, and he thought this movie was going to end with the kid pulling the trigger and killing the Punisher. Meanwhile, our supporter Yeet was in the audience with me watching the Workprint cut on the right, and he thought that this was going to lead to Frank grabbing the gun and killing the kid. So, like,
oh my god,
it goes to show the differences. Because in the Workprint one,
can you imagine?
I know, right? But an important difference is that I like in the Workprint cut that makes it darker is that it's the lead up to how Tommy gets the gun. So in the unrated one, Tommy just picks it up and points it at Punisher, and that's it. But in the Workprint one, Punisher pulls out his gun and initially points it at Tommy before he hands it to him, which I thought was a really cool, tense beat. I'm fine with the unrated one as it is. I'm not necessarily saying the ultimate cut would then shift to him screaming at the kid.
Screaming
at the other one.
Come on.
But I was like, I do think there is some merit. I do like the more emotional version as well in the Workprint version. But of course, editing wise, it'd be a little tricky to put that in with the clear differences in, because they had to rebuild the set and everything. Apparently, the original version on the right was shot in Australia. The one on the left was shot over here in Burbank. So they had to recreate the sets. Yeah, and they had to recreate the set, and it's a cool look at like what could have been. But I
love the look of Tanaka's kind of layer though, and everything, and just how they light it, especially when like it's kind of related, but just like some of the sets in this are just so like, well done. And like when the power goes out and like the whole thing is like red and everything, like blood. Like I think like just some of the stuff in here is just so cool.
Yeah,
honestly.
Again, it's comic booky. People will complain about the skull, but I'm just like, well, even without the skull, they found a way to still make this feel like a comic book movie. Again, to me, it doesn't feel like a generic 80s thing because it has so much more heightened stuff that ends up happening. Like look at how Tanaka takes out the mobsters with the poison thing.
Yeah.
How does that thing end up working? Yeah.
I always so with that one, I thought that maybe like I don't think it was like poison. I think maybe it was like a nerve thing or something, where maybe it was some sort of like frequency or something. Like I don't know, because like she keeps doing that. I'm like, it has to be something with the sound.
Yeah,
like it has to be something to where like she's messing with sonics or something like that. Like I don't know,
something like that. But I don't know.
Crucifies that one guy, the one that's like talking
shit.
She, starts the little knife things into his hand and then like just shoots them.
Yeah, that was cool. But again, feels very comic booky for that. The other thing that's different again about the Workprint is that it doesn't have the Dennis Street score. So we actually end on in the Workprint one. It's been identified as Pink Floyd's "Careful with That Axe Eugene" is the name of the track. And it's the live version, because the live version has that scream that you hear at the end after, because they both end with like Berkowitz yelling Frank, and then it cuts to a final shot of Frank, but that shot is different in the Workprint as well, right? In the original unrated version, it's back to him, like it's sort of back looking through the sewers as we hear the voiceover.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's a shot.
Did they the turtles are down there?
Probably, right? Because it's supposed to be the same universe as Daredevil. So the
Yeah,
radioactive
Teenage
isotope.
Mutant Ninja Turtles are down. That'd be so funny. He's just naked down there. It's like, oh, Mikey, what's this guy? Whoa, what are you doing down here, guy?
We got to go back.
I think he's just some crazy homeless guy.
It's the same world as TMNT 1990.
Oh my god, that would be
Imagine
amazing.
that.
I want to see that now.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the? This is unrelated. We'll go back to the thing.
Mhm.
But there's like a comic, and I need to read it. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crosses over with Stranger Things.
I haven't heard about that one. No.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty good. I know. Like I want to check it out because I think it takes place between like season 2 and 3 maybe or something like that. And it just sounds like it's pretty good. But also relating this to another unexpected crossover, I lied to you earlier. The other Punisher thing I've checked out is the Punisher and Archie crossover. Have you ever read that? It's so funny. It's actually pretty good. It's so like the Punisher is like he's drawn like an Archie character in this, but he's like hunting this murderous criminal who happens to somewhat look like Archie, except like he has like 5 o'clock shadow and everything, and like a scar. And he ends up like hunting Archie because he thinks that like that's the criminal, and that's how they run into each other. Yeah. We got to do that at some point. That'd be fun.
I'll have to track that down for sure. You got to let me know.
Yeah, it's on. I found it online at some point. I'll try to find the link.
Nice. Yeah, I'll check that out. It reminds me of that Batman Elmer Fudd special.
Yeah, or the
amazing.
I'm trying to think. There was so many of those. Like I need to read the I think it's Snagglepuss or something that's actually supposed to be really good, where it's like about like old Hollywood and like because he's like implied to be like a gay character and like kind of like the oppression of gay people. Like they kind of make it this interesting like allegory and everything. I got to read that. I think it's on the DC app.
Yeah, I haven't checked that one out, but Punisher with Archie would be funny. Would be interesting.
Oh yeah. No, that
Like
one's
it,
great.
yeah.
Definitely check that out.
check
They
it
have Archie meets the Predator too. That's another one.
Amazing. So
yeah,
again, different final shot in the Workprint cut. It's kind of like panning up to see Dolph fully healed now as Frank with like the big coat on and off to kill more people. It does make me wonder if there would ever be, if they ever were like, hey, let's revisit this, if it would be one where Tommy Franco does grow up to be like his father, and then you have an older Dolph come back and be like, I told you I'd be waiting for you. Yeah, like that would be a cool sequel type of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was no, even though there was planned to be a Punisher 2 sequel, it was even announced at one point that they were going to do it and they were going to shoot it. I don't know if there was ever a script. It's something to ask Robert Mark Kamen or Mark Goldblatt, but I'm not aware of what the plans would have been. But they had ideas to do one, but it never went through. So I don't know how much of that had to do with New World Pictures or whatever it was, but that's just, it never happened. And so this became a sort of a one-off until the Tom Jane version did their own take in 2004.
And then that one actually has a very, like, if you want to call it a sequel, that fan film that they did, Dirty Laundry, that's pretty good.
That one, as well as I have maybe about 3 or 4 scripts of what the sequel is supposed to be for that one.
With Jigsaw, right?
which then got turned into Punisher Warzone, which became its own thing and was divorced from the Tom Jane continuity. So we'll eventually get to that. I don't think we're going to get to all those scripts this year, but I'd like to, let's at least just cover the cinematic appearances first before we get
There's another fan film that it was before I saw any Punisher thing, and I gotta find it again at some point, but it was in the early 2000s. Someone made like a Punisher fan film where it had Punisher and Jigsaw, and I remember Jigsaw, like, he couldn't say George, he said Gorge or something like that, and then somebody like corrected him, one of his thugs, and he just shoots him. He's like, anyway, Gorge is what he says. Like, he says it right. Like, it's one of those weird scenes, but like it works. And there's another kind of fan film that's dark like that. That's called it's Green Arrow Longbow Hunters, where it's in a parking garage, but like I kind of like that one too. Like like it's not. I don't know if we'd ever do. I might do something like this for myself, but there are some really interesting kind of fan films that kind of have this kind of grimy, kind of '89 Punisher feel to them.
Nice.
Honestly, that'd be kind of cool to check out.
Yeah, for sure. So, in terms of the event, I wanted to thank Yeet and Drew, our supporters. They were at the event. Drew Griffin's always at a lot of my live events, so he's a big supporter.
Nice.
So big thanks. Big thanks to anyone else who was there in person who is watching this, so thank you for that. And obviously, big thanks to Kim Miyori for being there. I was able to get her to sign both the Punisher movie special comic adaptation that our supporter Logan Wood gifted me on the left, and then my very first Punisher comic, which is the Essential Punisher Volume 1. It's this thick omnibus of Punisher
Nice.
stuff. But it's all in black and white, but it has pretty much all the collection of
That-
the Spider-Man ones.
I feel like that works though. Like with certain characters, the black and white,
Yeah.
you know, art kind of works. Like there's I have that, but it's like one of the old Batman volumes. It's the Denny O'Neil stuff, and sometimes the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams stuff, and sometimes like the black and white, especially before he like Neil Adams went through and like fixed some of his artwork, like where it's the
You
original
gotta go with the
artwork
old
before he
school
went
coloring. Yeah.
went in and mucked with it, and so like
Yeah.
it's just almost like you're seeing just the inked stuff, like especially like I don't know, some of that stuff works better in black
Yeah.
and white, definitely.
Yeah. Also, thanks to Logan for gifting me the poster. Unfortunately, this did not arrive until after the event, so I couldn't get it signed. But it gives it's a big poster, so I could only fit it into the picture like this as I was unfolding it. But
Next time, baby,
Next
if we
time.
ever get the director or anything.
yeah, so we'll see. But big thanks, of course, to CineFile Video as usual. This is our third team up. The place you saw, they kind of look like the Criterion Closet. It's mixed with that and an old school Blockbuster. Like I always like to say, this is the last independent movie rental store in Los Angeles over in Sawtelle. And it's a place dedicated to physical media. And you can rent movies that you just can't find on streaming. And so you can rent Punisher 89, at least the original version. I don't know if the Australian Blu-ray is available for you to rent there, but you can, I can confirm, rent both versions of Captain America 1990 there. You can rent the Albert Pune cut that we went over the last time we did a CineFile event.
The Puniverse.
If you enter the Puniverse, yeah. Alfie agrees about going into the Puniverse.
It's Puniverse time.
Yeah.
And
are we ever going to cover the I was just thinking about this.
About what?
Are we ever going to cover the what's it called, the Hasselhoff
Nick Fury
movie?
We should at some point.
Is that any good? Have you
I've
ever
never
seen
seen
that?
it. I've never seen it. Maybe it'll be at CineFile. But yeah, I've never seen it. Apparently, I think it also has the first. I think Alexander Pierce is in it, and obviously a very different Alexander Pierce than the Robert Redford version that showed
That'd
up
be
in Winter
amazing
Soldier.
if it was the same one.
It's Robert Redford.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like I just really like this character.
So maybe you can find Nick Fury. I don't know, but you can get all sorts of stuff. I've also rented the Uchida Toma's Musashi movies as research for Musashi.
You got
and
Bible
Son.
Man there, Ben?
I don't know. I haven't seen the Bible Man stuff, but yeah, you can get the Uchida Toma Musashi movies over there. So if you're in LA, you're a Superhero Stuff You Should Know fan, definitely visit the store, sign up to be a member.
I should branch out
come to our
to
stuff.
the Carolinas, man. Make one
Have a
over
different
here
one.
so I can check it out.
Yeah, and then you can
Yeah.
do screenings over there, and then we can just go back and forth.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that'd be amazing, actually.
Yeah. No, one of these days we gotta do a thing where I virtually join or something. Maybe I make a. It's just things are expensive right now, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also we start pretty late in terms of the time difference because you'd be going to bed right around the time that we're starting the interview.
I could take a day off and make some time for it.
We'll figure it out. But
yeah.
Again, we typically promote some kind of charity or fundraiser, but for our CineFile episodes, I do encourage you guys to donate to CineFile at cinefilevideo.com/donate. This is money that goes towards any discs that people unfortunately might accidentally damage or chip or break for those.
They can send it to you in the mail, right?
Not that I know of. Maybe they used to do that, but
okay. I just saw the cart thing, and I thought maybe like they did
that's for
some shipping
for
stuff.
merchandise and like if you want to buy like a Blu-ray or DVD off of them, which you can do.
Yeah, that's what
at the CineVault.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, the CineVault, you can do that. So cinevault.com is their online store. You can buy physical media discs, and we have a discount code through them, which is SuperheroStuffYouShouldKnow. That gives you a
I might use that
15% off discount. Yeah, SuperheroStuffYouShouldKnow. We can use our own. We should use our own promo code at some point.
There you go.
Yeah, use that search function that has apparently you can search by title, by actor, even like genre. So it's pretty good.
I've looked up some movies on there before.
Yeah. So it's a pretty powerful search. So check it out at thecinevault.com.
Got our seal of approval.
Exactly. Big thanks to Leander Nicholson, of course. He's my manager over at Believe Land. He's also basically our talent acquisition, I guess you could call it, for superhero stuff you should know and recruiting. He helped us get Stephen Tolkien last time for Captain America in 1990, and he got us in touch with Kim Miyori, and he provided pizza for the guests. And I think we'll just make that a recurring thing whenever we do CineFile stuff. Also, thank you to...
He's a cool guy. I've met him before.
Yeah, he's a big supporter.
Yeah.
So if you've been to any of our live events, Leander's usually always with me. Mitchell K. Stubbs, thank you. That's Kim's agent. He helped put us in contact with her in doing this event. And I'm really glad that she was able to be a part of this, considering that, as amazing as it would have been to have Dolph Lundgren there and to do it, I do love highlighting the people who aren't as highlighted, the people who aren't as celebrated. And I did get a nice message from Kim afterwards saying that the event kind of helped her appreciate her role in this movie more, in seeing people's love for the movie and for her character. And so I was like, well, you can't beat that. As amazing as it would have been for Dolph kind of knows that he's got fans and he's a big star. But it's some of these lesser known people in the industry who've been such a big part of these movies from our childhood and nostalgia that I think deserve that love, especially if they don't know that they're as loved as they are. So I did send her some of the stuff that I talked about in the event about how a lot of people are fans of Lady Tanaka. So including us.
She's great. Yeah.
As usual for CineFile, we want to join we want to thank the people who are part of this. So
we want to join you.
We want to join you for another event. But yes, we want to thank you too.
Yeah.
Sebastian Matthews, the owner, James, the marketing manager for the marketing, Greg Smith and Louis Samra in scheduling us into their screening schedule. Joe Black, I believe, had the copy for the of the Australian Blu-ray to screen and lent it to CineFile. And of course, big thanks as usual to Nick Hines, who is the one manning the cameras and the audio. So he and Leander are pretty much part of the big, our live superhero stuff you should know crew once again. So
cool.
With that is superhero stuff you should know. Big thanks to Dan, our producer and editor, for editing these CineFile ones especially, as you can tell.
And the man.
There's multiple audio tracks. There's the audio of the audience we have to bring in that Nick provides for us. There's 2 different cameras, and so Dan does all that editing. So thank you, Dan. And as usual, join us for our Patreon for our deeper dive, where I'll go into a deleted scene that's not in the work print on the Blu-ray, along with other behind-the-scenes tidbits and comparisons between the movie version and the comics of The Punisher. So definitely join us on the $5 tier or above for that. And let's go into final announcements. So, Alex, for your stuff, you've had a really cool update recently in the intro to flashbacks that I want you to, that I figured that you would want to share with everybody in the audience.
Yeah, speaking of not lesser known, but maybe not the main star of a show or movie, I got Rick Cosnett to do a cameo where he introduces, so we have an ongoing joke on or kind of just a thing we say, Eddie Thawne, who Rick Cosnett plays, who was the love interest of Iris West in the first season, and who is a distant relative of Reverse Flash. Just really cool, fun character. that we're a big fan of. We always say, like, as a joke, kind of like justice for Eddie.
Mhm.
So like I got him to do an intro, and then at the end I got him to say justice for Eddie, and like you can kind of tell like he's just kind of like all right, like he has this like smile, like he's like, okay, I don't know what this means, but all right, basically. Like it was definitely really cool hearing him, say that, but then also in the message that you guys obviously, even in the show, I don't think I addressed this, but I sent him a message and told him how big of a fan we are
Mhm.
of like his character in that, and just like how much of a standout he is, kind of like how in the second season, Patty Spivot is. Like some of these side characters, sometimes you really grow attached to,
Mhm.
and so like you were saying, it's cool sometimes to talk to the person that maybe like is an accomplished actor, but like doesn't probably hear as much praise as the main star,
Yep.
maybe. And also with flashbacks, we are nearing the end of season 2
Woo!
pretty soon,
Yes.
like in the next few months. So I was telling Brady, I'm like, we got to start doing these 3 a month so we get through season 3, and then like onward, and we're going to kind of shrink down the crossover episodes, so where the the big event episodes, we're just going to have this one episode where we do all 4 parts together instead of having to be broken up into pieces, because like I love doing the show. I don't want to still be doing it when I'm like 55 or something.
90.
Yeah, till I'm 90. So hopefully, if we keep up at this pace, we'll be done with it in the next couple years. I'll probably be like 45 or something by the time I'm done with it. But hey, it is what it is. I enjoy
Nice.
doing it. So
Awesome.
yeah.
All right. Any other announcements?
And we do have an interview with John Jackson Miller coming
Yeah.
up.
And I'll be
at
there.
some point soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have to reschedule recently, but don't worry, it's still coming. We just got to figure out the right time to record it, and then you guys will hear it as soon as it comes out.
Nice.
So I'll definitely have some, stick around, we'll have some stuff. And then Review More Girls, that's my wife's podcast. She like rewatch stuff. She does the review of the Gilmore Girls podcast episode by episode. I've been kind of lazy with my editing recently. I need to be better about that. So there's another episode in the works I need to get out there, and then What Meme will come back whenever I have like something I really want to talk about.
Nice.
But that's it for me. I'm trying to keep this kind of concise. But yeah, anything with you, Ben?
Yeah, so I wanted to announce that just a match with my shirt, my Musashi shirt, Musashi and Son Volume 2, The Ring of Water, has been released.
Woo!
So if you're a fan of Volume 1, Volume 2
am.
is twice as long, close to twice as long as the first one. You get to learn more
Nice.
about these characters, including this new one that you see on the left. There was a mysterious archer who showed up at the end of Volume 1. You get to learn who that is, and he's on the
Is
cover.
it like Batman Revolution in terms of length, or?
No, it's not nearly that long. That was, but in terms of
Damn
the
it.
second volume being much bigger than the first one, then yes, yeah, it is
Yeah,
longer. And it shows the challenges along the way for young Yori, this boy who is learning how to become a samurai, and he learns what it really takes in order to be one. So kind of ties into our Punisher discussion in terms of how
Nice.
Tommy Franco didn't really have it in him in that moment to avenge his father and pull the trigger on Frank. Well, what would it take for a boy to be able to learn to be able to do that at his age? That's what we learn in Volume 2, The Ring of Water. And that's Volume 2 out of 5. Each volume will reflect a different
That would've been
aspect
kind
of the
of
Book of
a-
Five Rings.
That would have been, I know we kind of said like if he had turned into a mobster or
Yeah.
something in the next one, but like what if he's kind of like the anti-Punisher, where like he was going after Punisher basically,
Mhm.
like kind of like you wronged me. Like he wasn't like a mobster, but he was kind of just like a following the footsteps in that way, where he was trying to kill the Punisher for killing his dad, basically.
Maybe he becomes the protege to Berkowitz. Berkowitz finds him, and he's like, "Okay, teach me
Yeah.
to be a detective like you, because I'm going to use it to track down the pun." Yeah, that could be an interesting angle too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be cool. Anyway.
All right, coming to Newverse Media. The
I don't know if we're gonna do a Punisher thing, but anyway,
I don't even know how you would do that. Yeah, actually, with the family-friendly parameters of that. But
just cut the swearing. There's no, they're not gonna have Mel Gibson's brother being like, "Fuck you, no, fuck you, man."
Yeah.
So,
fudge you.
Anyway, Musashi and Son, both volumes available on Amazon on both print and Kindle by the time this is released. I'm also back as the voice of Batman in the Arkham tapes for at least 2 more episodes. At least 2 episodes that have been released, I think, by the time of this release of this episode of Superhero Stuff You Should Know. So we see here, we didn't have the thumbnail last time, but the Arkham tapes Robin is the latest one that I've been featured in as of this recording. And it features the introduction to the Tim Drake version of Robin in the Arkham tapes. And then the one that features Oracle, that shows how Barbara Gordon became Oracle, that one should be released by the time that this episode of Superhero Stuff You Should Know is released. I voice Batman in both episodes, and you'll hear me again at least one more time before the season closes. So Jake's put me to work on this one. I had a nice long break between my appearance as Batman and when I showed up again in the Hush one, and now he's been putting me to work. So yeah, I'm in a lot.
Do they have the rat catcher in that in the Arkham tapes?
Not yet, but I'm sure he's on the way.
Oh yeah, that one's like that would work so well with the how these ones are.
And then the latest from Newverse Media. This is not the Punisher 89 Part 2. This is Batman. Robin Dies at Dawn. This is an adaptation of that classic Silver Age comic, Robin Dies at Dawn, written by Bill Finger. But it's adapted by me. I wrote it as a prequel.
Oh, with the Clooney,
it's Clooney.
Clooney one.
Yeah, you got the nips. You see the nips on both him and Chris O'Donnell. This is adapted to be a prequel to Batman and Robin. I just write this one. Tim Maxwell at Newverse performs it. It's probably the weirdest, most off-the-wall story I've done for Newverse, staying mostly true to the comic because it's that Silver Age goodness that fits in with the Schumacher verse. But
Alfie is a fan of the Silver Age goodness.
Alfie is Silver Age goodness. Yes, he is. But I will say, because I know for this one, I was like, this is going to be a weird one. And obviously, Batman and Robin has a lot of haters on this, but I do want to encourage you guys to check this out because it's not just a prequel to Batman and Robin. I'm gonna start marketing it this way. It's not just a prequel to Batman and Robin. It is a prologue to the Newverse Media version of the unmade Batman 5 film, Batman Unchained. So I'm using this time to announce here, we don't have the Mark Protosevich script for Batman Unchained, but Tim came to me and said, hey, what if we did our own? And if we did our own, what would we do with it? And we started developing it over the last couple months.
Nice.
And that's where we decided that Robin Dies at Dawn, which is something I had wrote a while back and we just hadn't gotten around to doing it. But we decided to plant the seeds here in this Robin Dies at Dawn. So we kind of took a page from what Grant Morrison did in the comics, where Morrison took the scientist character from Robin Dies at Dawn and turned that into the main villain, Dr. Simon Hurt. We are doing something different because Dr. Hurt did not exist back in 1997, 1998, or 1999. That scientist...
What are you talking about? It's all the same continuity and everything, or whatever Morrison says.
Right. We've turned the scientist character from Robin Dies at Dawn into Nicolas Cage's Jonathan Crane to set up our version of the Scarecrow, voiced by Tim's version of Nicolas Cage, who you heard in Batman Enigma. Tim's coming back to do the voice of the Nicolas Cage Scarecrow, and that's been set up in Robin Dies at Dawn. So for those who don't know, Batman Unchained, the unmade Batman 5, was set to have Cage as Scarecrow along with a version of Harley Quinn. Tim came up with this great version of Harley Quinn, and I developed what our version of Scarecrow is going to be for Unchained. It's a different take.
This illustration is really, really good, by the way.
Yeah. Tim does great with a lot of these. This version of Scarecrow is going to be different from other versions, and you kind of see how the clues planted in Robin Dies at Dawn. And frankly, when I had the idea to put Crane as the scientist in Robin Dies at Dawn, nothing against Morrison, obviously, with the Dr. Hurt character, but I was like, why wasn't this character turned into Jonathan Crane? Because like some of the lines from this character is just like, man's great fear is loneliness and stuff. I was like, there's so much about fears and stuff in this. Like, this should be Crane. So yeah, this is a prequel to an upcoming version of Batman Unchained that we have that I've pitched to Tim as like, okay, if you were to do the end game of the 90s Batman movies, this would be it. So that's kind of what we've got. So this plays a vital role in that. And check it out at Newverse Media.
Cool.
So let's go into the comments. Let's see, starting with this one from PageRec. Anyway, this is a comment on our Batman Revolution.
PageRec.
On our Batman Revolution episode, saying, with how much 89 media there is now, I can't help but wonder if we'll eventually get some Batman 95 comics or novels. I would so read a Val Kilmer Batman Year One in the Schumacher verse. Well, PageRec, you might be in luck, because I believe the next Newverse Media release that I'm in will be Joel Schumacher's Batman Year One, where I adapted the comic into the world of Batman Forever. I voiced Val Kilmer's Batman, and we also have Tommy Lee Jones's Harvey Dent before he became Two-Face in that. So you'll want to check that out whenever it gets released. I know it's pretty close. I've heard some clips of it, but it's not quite done yet. So that'll be next.
Harvey Dent, can he be trusted?
Not in that version. So,
damn it.
Alex, why don't you take this one from our old friend?
Oh yeah, Ruben, what's up, man? Thank you guys for the shout out. I meant to say, was that what happened to Batman's original Rogues Gallery from Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond? What is this referencing?
Yeah, his last comment, he was wondering what we thought. I think he's asking what we think happened to the original Rogues Gallery.
Well, don't they kind of?
Well,
because we know what happens to
Joker and Bane and Mr.
Joker and Bane,
and Harley.
Catwoman probably just retires. Like, let's be real. Like, I could just see her retiring in that universe. We see what happens to Raish and Talia. Mr. Freeze, we see what happens to him as well. So that really only leaves like Two-Face and
Penguin, Riddler, Ivy, Scarecrow. What happens to them? They die in Arkham. That's my answer.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Like, honestly, like, it's probably like, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where like you could whatever ending basically you want to. I'm sure it's addressed in the Batman Beyond comics, but like, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I would probably just say they either, because Batman's been doing it so long, they probably just like, what happens to most of these characters? They probably have like a close to death call, and then maybe some of them just don't make it. Like maybe they like in the middle of battle or something, like they fall off like a tall building or something, or something backfires and they die, or maybe like who knows?
What happened to Baby Doll? That's what we really got to answer.
I hope Baby Doll just got some help or something. Baby Doll, it's like one of those where it's just like she just needs to turn away from crime. That was one of the biggest things. Like, I didn't mind the later stuff, but I'm like, that was one of those you could have just left it at the one where she's like, I didn't mean to do and everything, and she didn't need to come back and be with Killer Croc. I feel like it was like, no, like that was like a one-time villain. Like, you don't want to see her come back because it kind of makes you sad, basically.
I'd like to think that Baby Doll, Clayface, Two-Face, Ventriloquist all somehow got reformed. I'd like to think that.
I could see Baby Doll definitely getting reformed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone else kind of had some elements of good in them, or there was a tragedy. Clayface, maybe it's happened in the comics, but obviously that was after Batman Beyond. That was like in the Rebirth stuff with Basil Karlo. So that might be a tougher sell, but
Killer Croc. Killer Croc and Beware the Batman, I know it's a different thing, but he was kind of he was working with Batman.
If he finds the circus folk again, remember he in that one episode where
that was such a good episode, man.
Yeah. So maybe, but I mean that's been one of my things with Batman Beyond is how like he does retire for understandable reasons, but he also kind of leaves the city pretty unprotected. So I would think
you would have to assume that most of his villains are off the table at that point for him to be comfortable retiring.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our answer, Ruben. We'd like to think some.
Also, the other heroes. The other heroes are still around though, because like Nightwing, and then probably still operate for years after Batman is gone, just because he he steps down doesn't mean they necessarily immediately do the same.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird that it's never really addressed or really shown that they were doing the protecting or taking over when he's gone. It kind of just seems like he's gone, and so Gotham just went to hell at that point, and that was it.
Almost like the writers didn't think about it.
Nope. Anyway, let's go over to... This is a comment from our Batman 89 Echoes episode, which thank you, Jared Presley. I've been on his show before, so I wanted to highlight this very long comment. Said, great video, Ben, best of luck with your writings. I'm enjoying wearing the t-shirt from the podcast. That's the quick change superhero stuff you should know shirt that we advertised in the break. Jared says, you did a thorough job finding the Easter eggs in this video. I really appreciate how well you edited it. Really, Dan edited it, but I wrote it, I guess, in terms of the script. So it's a team here. The attention to detail shows. I just wish the book itself was up to par with the quality of your analysis. Overall, I feel like they tried to cram too much into too few issues. I used to think Batman Returns was a bit crowded and convoluted, but Echoes takes that problem to the extreme. The story feels overstuffed, which undermines its potential impact. Honestly, I believe Ben could have written a much stronger treatment for Echoes. Thank you. I'm not saying that just to be polite. I genuinely think there was a significant missed opportunity here. I mean, hey, if DC wants to call and say, hey, Sam Hamm doesn't want to do it anymore, and we'll have you continue the comics and work with Joe, there could be worse things in my life. So anyway,
I mean, you got the books, man. I don't know. Like for me, I'm like, you got the John Jackson Miller books if you don't like what they're doing in the comics.
The expectations were high, and while everyone has their own vision of what this should look like in the Burton universe, my issue isn't that it's not my story. The problem is that it fell flat on its own terms. As I've mentioned to Ben before, Christopher Lee in the 1990s would have been an absolutely epic. As Ra's al Ghul, you could easily build an entire film around him as the main villain, with Talia playing a significant role alongside him. I still feel like he was a little old at that point. I feel like the 70s to 80s would have been the range. But anyway.
He was playing Count Dooku and flipping around in the early 2000s in the Star Wars movies.
So yeah, but at that point he's white haired,
whatever, right? Like in the Lord of the Rings.
He's still just a really old. Like to me, Roz has to be like 50s, where like you saw in the Echoes thing where like he's shirtless, like stuff where he could be his physical match in some ways. But yeah,
you could CG his head under like a buff body, like some Henry Cavill looking motherfucker, like under he takes it off and it's just like his head superimposed on like
Jesus, yeah, that'd be hilarious. But yeah, to continue what Jared says, if Echoes had captured a blend of Burton's visual style with Denny O'Neil's writing and atmosphere, I genuinely think it could have been an epic adaptation. To be honest, I'd rather have it be that than the Scarecrow, Harley, Riddler, etc. in this.
They didn't even do anything with the fucking Riddler, so I haven't finished it yet, but so far from what I can tell, like he barely even factors in for them.
He does. He barely factors in. I do think Scarecrow, a Burton versus Scarecrow, is more appealing to the Burton versus aesthetic than Ra's al Ghul. However, like I've brought up before, I think in previous episodes or with you privately, like if you're going to do Ra's al Ghul in a Burton verse, I see it mainly in like a Dracula type lens, in which case I understand the Christopher Lee fan casting as one of the most, one of the greatest Draculas on screen.
Who was the model for race in this, if you had to guess, for like their version of race?
Ricardo Montalban. Khan from The Wrath of Khan.
That's good. I mean, you know.
Yeah. That's why you were talking about Spike.
Do his own thing.
The last time
Yeah. Have him do like my thing is like separate it into its own thing. Like have like if you're like even if like they might have had this vibe where they're like this might be our last story to tell. Yeah. Maybe that was one of those where they're stuffing it. But I'm like, you end up servicing nobody when you do stories like that. It's like you should have just broken up to if it's gonna be about Scarecrow, to have the whole thing be about Scarecrow. If it's gonna be about Harley Quinn, focus on that. You can maybe swing two villains, but trying to stuff all of this in, it takes a certain type of like scripter. Like you could definitely do it, but it takes like a like, and I'm not saying that Sam Hamm couldn't do it, but I'm saying like the way you have to lay out a story if it has multiple villains is you have to lay it out a very particular way in order to service all those villains and still feel like a satisfying story that you can follow and doesn't feel like it's the thing. Like, I was even reading it and there's just like all these like plot threads and everything. I'm like, you only have so much runway here left, man. I don't really know how you're gonna wrap all this up. Like, you got barely even runway left, but you're acting like you still have miles and miles left when you're really like coming up to the end in like 5 seconds, basically.
It's a lot of setup and a lot of a rush to the end in that final issue.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it's at. We'll see if there's another arc, but that's kind of the latest in terms of the last part of the chronology so far officially in the DC Burtonverse continuity. So we'll see if there's any more. Obviously, would love it if John Jackson Miller, if they said, hey, we're going to give you more leeway, you can now write novels that take place after Echoes. Then that'd be really cool. Or if he kind of did his own version of Echoes that fleshed everything out so it didn't feel as crowded, considering that you had Revolution had Riddler, who's also Bookworm, and then you had Killer Moth, and then you had the Archer, and you had the Revolutionaries, and Max Shreck. Like, you had all these different multiple players.
And he
balanced. It still worked. Yeah, it balanced well, but also because it was 500 pages. So you kind of have to give, if you're given 6 issues, it has to fit 6 issues. But like something like trying to adapt Miller's book into a comic would probably be at least 12. At least 12.
It'd be a maxi series,
Anyway, thanks, Jared, for that. Let's go into the final one, which is the Patreon patrons.
All right. So Patreon, I'm trying to think.
Super Friends, maybe?
I could do since I did so much Arnold stuff, I could do it in the Arnold voice this time.
Let's do it.
I got 5. Do it, come on, Halsey D. Corbin, Slight Rebellion, Off Madison. Sorry, everybody, this is probably gonna suck when you listen to it on the audio.
We'll have you play
Choco Milk,
Mr. Freeze,
Super Inframan, Derek Osborne, Jason Price, Rebellious Monkey, 98, Cyber 6, Nick Gonzalez, Devin, Benjamin Vega, Tito G, Ben Lee Page, CDX Rolex, Michael Page, and Nolan Moore.
Thank you, Arnold. Thank you to our.
You're welcome.
Thank you to our other supporters: Matt Herring, rest in peace; Leander Nicholson, Logan Wood, Newverse Creative / Newverse Media. I should update that. Triple Threat Comics, The Bat Feed, Aaron Quinn at Prof. E. Chicano Batman, Rob Ailing, Robert Schumann, Sparkageddon, Cookie Noms, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Ian H., Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, Jackson Putnam, Tway N., at StageBat, at W.Media, Paul G., Sean Willits, Ruben A., Yeet I., Mine Gidzag, Cole Watkins, Yodel King, as Alex likes to call
Yodel
him,
King.
at Ye Old King _ Creative Sparrow, Drew Griffin and Neil over at 1995 Batman, CineFile Video, of course, Tyler Sandifer, and Evan Z. So thank you all.
I like the 95 Batman stuff. Like, I like their content.
Yeah, right. Like, I've been, I was re-listening to the audio readings of the Batman and Robin related books over there, possibly for some future deep dives. But yeah, that's great content over there, and we'll be been in negotiations in terms of like other ways we can collaborate in the future, considering that Batman Forever is such a big part of our channel.
Definitely.
So again, follow us at patreon.com/superheroSYSK. Get the benefits of the Patreon, get our deeper dives and our deeper dive into the Punisher 89. And next episode, I believe, we'll be going into the Boaz Yakin original script for Punisher 89, how it was more comic booky, had some comic booky type cameos. What was this movie going to be like?
Get the full dick instead of just the tip for the Patreon.
Shaft and all. And I guess on that note, in this Punisher deep dive, we want you to do us a favor. We want you to tell all your friends about it. And if you don't, we'll be waiting. So,
we'll be waiting.
Who are we? I'm Ben Wan.
And I fucked up my throat. I'm Alex for that Arnold thing.
I thought you were gonna say you're a Punisher's drunken sidekick. And,
oh yeah, Punisher's drunken sidekick. Whatever he says. About. I'm a thespian.
An actor, yes.
Actor.
And with that, we are superhero stuff you should know. See you guys.